Chapter 32-42. After their cultivation was restricted, if they wanted to obtain more power, they would have to cultivate the divine universe within their body into a divine sun or divine moon. It was very difficult to cultivate into a divine Sunday. It required a special technique or a suitable small divine sun to fuse into the body. Out of the 3,000 cosmos gods, only 300 could release a divine Sunday. And the divine universe purple sun they released was definitely bestowed by the cosmos law spirit. The divine sun sword released by the old man from the great Luo Empire should have been cultivated by him. If that was the case, this old man was indeed very powerful. He should be an expert beside the great Luo heavenly emperor. When Yu Shangyun, Zi Qingqing, and Shui Tianzi's divine moon fused together, it was much bigger than before. The reason why they were still able to withstand the pressure that was constantly charging at them was because they could borrow the energy of the divine moon in the heart of the moon. However, the energy they could borrow and control was limited. If they were facing a few dozen people who could release divine universe purple sun, they would not be afraid at all and could completely suppress the other party. Now, they were facing 300 divine suns and experts from the 4 great empires and Taisha powers. Afterwards, 50 elders from the 4 empires and Taisha factions released their little god sons, and they could all transform. Some of them took the shape of weapons, while others took the shape of beasts. It had to be said that the overall aura of these 50 old men was a bit stronger than the cosmos gods. The pressure on Yu Shangyun and the others increased. Previously, she was very confident that she could block these people, but now, she was not so sure. Qin Yun, the divine moon released by your side is indeed very strong, but it is only the fusion of 3 divine moons. It can't shake us at all. Even if you can use the power of the moon core, there are too few divine moons and the amount of energy you can use is limited. If we only have a few dozen people with divine sun, we will definitely not be your opponent. The old man from the great Luo Empire said. Although he released the divine sun that transformed into a sword, he did not attack immediately. The others did not attack because they were more or less worried. They were afraid that Qin Yun would destroy their divine sun after attacking with their divine Sunday. One had to know that those divine sun were equivalent to the divine universe in their body. If they were destroyed, it would be terrible. Qin Yun, we will give you a chance to surrender. As long as you obediently cooperate with us, we will not make things difficult for you. The old man continued. We only hope that you can stop and place the Divine King Heavenly Seal here so that we can seal it. They knew that Qin Yun's Divine King Heavenly Seal could not be obtained, it could only be sealed or destroyed. Are you so confident that you can take me down? Qin Yun said with sneer. Why don't you attack? The defense released by Yu Shangyun and the others was still very strong. They could hold on for a period of time, or at least block a round of attacks. The other party released a large number of divine suns. The momentum was vast and the aura was ferocious. It attacked Qin Yun and company from all directions. However, the aura was blocked by the divine moon barrier released by Yu Shangyun and company. The old man from the great Luo Empire said, Qin Yun, don't think that we are afraid of you, that's why we don't dare to attack. We can destroy you at any time. Then attack. Qin Yun chuckled. I can't wait for you to attack. Watch how I deal with all of you. The great Luo Empire was very familiar with Qin Yun's methods. Not long ago, they clashed with Qin Yun in the human serpent treasured land and suffered a crushing defeat. Qin Yun had many means. If he directly used his divine sun to attack, he might be at a disadvantage. Then we won't be polite. The old man shouted loudly, Attack! The several hundred little divine suns they released suddenly trembled. Then, a wave of divine cosmos power rushed towards Qin Yun and company. It was only the divine cosmos power that rushed over from a distance. The divine cosmos power released by several hundred divine suns was vast and mighty. It fiercely attacked from all directions with overflowing might and let out a burst of terrifying whistling sound. "It's coming, we'll block it," Yu Shangyun said in a deep voice. Then, she immediately mobilized the energy within the moon core to form layer upon layer of energy barrier, enveloping the entire Divine King Heavenly Seal and the Divine Moon Small Magic Spirit. The vast and mighty Divine Cosmos power is very ferocious. It broke through many layers of energy barrier, but it was still unable to break through. The defensive energy barrier released by Yu Shangyun has a total of more than 100 layers. The other party has only broken through half of them. Moreover, under Yu Shangyun's control, the dozens of layers of barrier that were broken through were immediately restored. Although the amount of energy that Yu Shangyun and company could mobilize from the moon core was limited, it was still very strong. If they could mobilize even more energy, they would be able to form hundreds or even thousands of layers of barrier. Yu Shangyun, Shui Tianzi and Zi Qingqing were under a lot of pressure just now. They were afraid that they would not be able to protect Qin Yun. But now, they realized that Qin Yun was not nervous at all. According to their understanding of Qin Yun, they knew that Qin Yun was preparing to play dirty. On one hand, Qin Yun had been provoking the other party to attack. On the other hand, he wanted to test the other party's courage and strength. On the other hand, he wanted them to attack with the Divine Sun. "Don't worry, we are safe. They will continue to attack and try to use the Divine Sun's Divine Cosmos power to break through your defenses. We can't let them succeed." Qin Yun transmitted his voice to Zi Qingqing and the other two girls. "Yun, you want them to release the Divine Sun to attack?" Yu Shangyun asked with a voice transmission. At this moment, the three of them had established a mental sound transmission network with Qin Yun. The four of them could hear each other's mental sound transmission. "Yes, even if they release the Divine Sun to attack, it will be futile. I can block it." Qin Yun was least afraid of the Divine Sun's attack. Moreover, he was an expert in eating Divine Sundae. He couldn't wait for the other party to immediately attack with the Divine Sun and then collect all of them. Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi understood Qin Yun's methods very well because they knew that there were several large Divine Suns within the 9-Sun Divine Spirit. Qin Yun was an expert in using Divine Sundae. It could be said that no one could compare to him. When they attack again, we will increase our defense to the limit, allowing them to break through even fewer protective barriers. This way, they will have no choice but to use the Divine Sun to attack. Yu Shangyun said, "Yun, wait a moment and tell them that you are about to break the seal of the Divine Moon's little magic spirit and force them to use the Divine Sun." After knowing Qin Yun's plan, Yu Shangyun immediately cooperated. Soon, the other party launched a second round of attack. They were still in the distance, using the little Divine Sun they had cultivated to condense waves of Divine Cosmos power and attack from afar. This time, the Divine Moon that Yu Shangyun and the others had fused with suddenly became bigger. It flickered with a strong light and the protective barrier suddenly strengthened. Previously, the other party could only break through 40 to 50 layers of their protective barrier. Now they could only break through 20 layers. "Is that all you've got? I will soon break the seal of the Divine Moon's little magic spirit. At that time, all of you will die without a doubt." Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, "I advise you to run for your lives like dogs. Hurry up and scram, stay far away from the Divine Moon of the heavens." Chapter 32-43. The Cosmos Gods, the people from the Taisher superpowers, and the people from the 4 great empires were still very aggressive when they released their God Sunday. Yet now they withered. It was impossible for the Cosmos Gods to escape. They gathered here firstly to make use of the powerful soul energy of the God Moon Little Magic Spirit to create more Cosmos Gods. Secondly, to control the deity's heaven's divine moon and use it to transform the new era humans. The empires and Taisher were clear that Qin Yun was purposely provoking them to use their godsons to attack. There was definitely a trap within. They already had a certain level of understanding of Qin Yun. They knew that Qin Yun was a very strange and mysterious person. He always did unexpected things, so they didn't dare to use their divine son to attack. If they released their godsons, they would be very powerful. Usually, the target would not be able to defend against it without an equivalent defense. Godsons were cultivated painstakingly. Furthermore, there were techniques to protect the godsons. The cultivated godsons would not be destroyed so easily. However, their enemy was Qin Yun. They had to consider more. Thus, the empires and Taisher old foxes did not release their godsons to attack even though they spoke arrogantly. Those godsons that were turned into weapons were incredibly powerful. The cosmos gods were also waiting for them to attack. Even though the cosmos gods had just been created not too long ago, they were not foolish. The great Luo Empire and the Taisher superpowers clearly had a deeper enmity with Qin Yun. However, they did not use their divine sun weapons to attack him. Even for the cosmos gods, their godsons were precious. When the cosmos gods were created by the cosmos gods, they did not give everyone a god Sunday. That was because it was very difficult. The cosmos gods might be a magic spirit, but they could not control the resources of the entire cosmos. If they were to use a large number of godsons, the entire cosmos would lose balance. Furthermore, the cosmos gods weren't the entirety of the cosmos spirit. Even if they were killed, the cosmos spirits wouldn't act. They were created to be tools. They had their own consciousness and had to survive on their own. The three superpowers were discussing rapidly in the dark. They could either give up on the deity's heaven's divine moon and escape or release their godsons to attack. They could not bear to escape from the deity's heaven's divine moon. If they did not escape, once the mystic moon's little relic spirit broke the seal, they would definitely die. If they let their divine son attack, as long as they could break through the defenses released by Yu Shangyun and company, they would be able to stop Qin Yun and even capture him. That way, not only would they be able to resolve the danger, they would also be able to capture Qin Yun. It was the best of both worlds. Of these two paths, the best outcome is undoubtedly to attack. However, there is a certain degree of risk because Qin Yun is very treacherous. He is clearly provoking them to attack in order to trick them. Right now, no one wanted to stand out. If their precious divine son was killed, they wouldn't even have a place to cry. They had to make a decision in a short amount of time because the mystic moon little magic spirit's seal would soon be broken. At that time, they wouldn't even have a chance to run. Soon, they made their decision. They're going to release the divine sun to attack. When Yu Shangyun saw that there were more than 10 divine suns moving, his face immediately became serious. Sister Shangyun, I will let Yuner come out and let her release the nether sun and fuse it with your divine moon. She also knows the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra. In addition, I can use my divine realm to illuminate it and fuse it together. Qin Yun hurriedly transmitted his voice to Yu Shangyun and company. Ling Yuner immediately came out and released the nether sun. Her sudden appearance and the release of the nether sun caused the cosmos god race people to be extremely surprised. The nether sun is a very special divine Sunday. It is also the most feared divine sun cultivators. It is very difficult to cultivate the nether sun to this extent because even if someone obtained the nether sun seed by chance, during the cultivation process, it would be devoured by the nether sun. The nether sun released by Ling Yuner very smoothly fused with Yu Shangyun, Shui Tianzi and Zi Qingqing's divine moon. After the fusion, Yu Shangyun immediately sensed even more energy. She can now use this nether sun moon to control even more energy from the moon heart. Just a moment ago, there were only 100 layers of energy barrier. Now, it suddenly increased to 300 layers. Moreover, each layer has become very thick. The defense is several times stronger than before. The fusion process is very smooth. Qin Yun didn't even use the divine mirror of primal beginning. The divine mirror of primal beginning has the power of the mysterious fusion heavenly rune. If it uses all of its power, it can successfully fuse. The main reason was because Ling Yun'er, Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi often cultivated together. Furthermore, the three of them and Yu Shangyun were all Qin Yun's women. They had all cultivated the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra with Qin Yun. In addition, their current goal is the same. In their hearts, they hope to help Qin Yun. Therefore, their compatibility is extremely high and they can trust each other. This sudden increase in defense has caught the Cosmos God race people by surprise. Of the dozen or so divine sun they released, half were from the Cosmos God race, and the other half were from the Taisher powers and the four great empires. They only released a dozen or so. They were worried that they would be tricked if they released too many at once, so they used a dozen or so to test the waters. But now, it seems that their dozen or so divine sun are unable to break through the 300 layers of thick energy barrier. Sure enough, although the 15 divine sun ferociously charged over, they only broke through 100 layers of energy barrier before stopping. However, when they wanted to retract their divine sun, they discovered that their divine sun was not under their control. One must know that Qin Yun previously snatched away other people's divine sun several times. It was all because Ling Yun'er entered the divine sun and cut off the spirit inside the divine sun. Ling Yun'er is now using her powerful mental power to pour into the dozen or so divine sun and quickly cut off the connection. After all, she is the Nether Sun Tao spirit and is the most proficient in this aspect. Even Yu Shangyun is secretly alarmed. Ling Yun'er actually has such ability. After the dozen or so divine sun were cut off, the dozen or so people who released the divine sun immediately turned pale. They are equivalent to crippled. Xiao Yun, it's up to you, Ling Yun'er said. Qin Yun waved his hand and the 9 sun divine spirit enveloped the dozen or so small divine sun and then absorbed them into the 9 sun divine spirit. At this moment, the Taisher powers have the urge to vomit blood. They clearly knew that Qin Yun was tricking them, but they still had no choice but to attack. In the end, they were tricked. Are you going to run? Or continue attacking? Qin Yun asked. Run? Wouldn't it be very vexing to run away just like that? Everyone, let's attack together. With their strength, they won't be able to withstand the combined attack of hundreds of divine suns. They will definitely be defeated. Every time we attack with about 10 divine suns, we won't be able to pose any threat to them. An old man from the Taisher faction shouted, if we work together, we will definitely succeed. He wanted to chat with more like-minded people. $article_title? Follow You Read Literature on WeChat, chatting about life and looking for a bosom friend. Chapter 3244. All the big shots present are secretly afraid. They are afraid that their divine sun will be taken away by Qin Yun, but they are not willing to leave just like that. They have so many people, a total of more than 8,000 warriors. Although only 300 of them can release divine sun, it is still more than Qin Yun's group. Under such a great advantage, they are so weak and powerless. If this were to spread out, how would they be able to face others? Cosmos God race, Taisher powers and 4 great empires are known as the 3 superpowers of divine desolate. They are the existences that will dominate the entire divine desolate. And now, with so many of them, they are suffering defeat in front of Qin Yun, a god king. You don't have much time, Qin Yun reminded them. The seal of the divine moon's small magic spirit is gradually weakening and will soon be broken by Qin Yun. If they don't stop Qin Yun or if they don't run, they won't have time to choose. Go! The leader of the Cosmos God race shouted. Now that things have reached this point, they can only take a gamble. Actually, they are truly afraid in their hearts, but they also believe that if they work together, their chances of winning are still very high. Because they have more than 300 divine sun on their side, they feel that no matter how strong the other side is, it is impossible to block the simultaneous attack of several hundred divine Sunday. Even if they can block it, it is impossible to take away all 300 Divine Sun in one go. As long as they stop Qin Yun, they can obtain the greatest victory. In their opinion, with such a great chance of winning, they should not retreat in defeat. They are here, Qin Yun said in a deep voice. I will leave the rest to you. After Qin Yun finished speaking, he immediately released his Nether Sun and Nether Moon and instantly fused into Nether Sun and Moon. Another Nether Sun Moon appeared and it even fused with Yu Shangyun's and the others. The moment the two Nether Sun Moon fused, they suddenly became incomparably huge, like a huge pitch-black hole, revolving above the Divine Moon's small magic spirit. The sudden appearance of this Nether Sun Moon suddenly allowed Yu Shangyun to control more energy within the Moon core. Originally there were only 300 layers of energy barrier, but it suddenly expanded outwards and kept increasing in number. The Divine Moon's small magic spirit is currently unable to control the Moon core's energy, but it can continuously release energy for Yu Shangyun and the others to control. Yu Shangyun, Shui Tianzi, Zi Qingqing and Ling Yuner are all surrounding Qin Yun at this moment. They are circulating the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra, so the Nether Sun Moon they created together can smoothly fuse with Qin Yun's Nether Sun Moon. They can even clearly sense that Qin Yun's Nether Sun and Moon are very terrifying. Qin Yun alone has cultivated these two terrifying things, and they have known Qin Yun for so long, yet they have never sensed it. The effect of the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra manifested itself at this moment. It could make the Sun and Moon become stronger after they fused. Yu Shangyun's comprehension of the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra was the deepest. Later on, she even comprehended and created an even more powerful technique from it. However, Qin Yun did not know about it. When she and Qin Yun cultivated the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra, she was the one who led the way. At this moment, the energy barrier protecting Shin Yu's little Dharma spirit was becoming thicker with every layer. Previously, there had only been 300 layers, but in the blink of an eye, it had multiplied by several times. There were now 1,500 layers. Every layer of the energy shield was like a huge net. Hundreds of divine suns rushed over. Their power was indeed great, but they could only break through a few hundred layers of energy shield. Those divine suns broke through the energy shield, but they only broke through one layer and then continued to break through the next layer. They did not break through the energy shield in one go. The most terrifying thing is that after the energy shield was pierced, it could be repaired immediately. After those divine suns quickly pierced through several hundred layers, they discovered that the energy shield they pierced through has actually been repaired. It is already impossible for them to retreat. A large number of divine suns are now in a dilemma. They rushed forward, but they can no longer rush forward. They retreated, but they were trapped. Yuner, I'll leave it to you. Yu Shangyun is somewhat excited as she lightly shouted. Ling Yuner is also very excited. She cultivates Nether Sunday. When she saw those divine suns, it is as if she saw prey. She immediately controlled the huge Nether Sun Moon and used her strongest mental power to cut off the mental connection between the divine suns and their masters. She destroyed the spirit bodies inside the divine suns. Mission accomplished. Ling Yuner's progress is very smooth. The people who released the Divine Sun have ashen faces. Each and every one of them are angry and fearful. In the end, their Divine Sun was still taken away. They didn't expect that someone would be able to mobilize such a large amount of Moon Core energy. There is a lot of energy inside the Moon Core, and only the women of the Divine Moon Clan can mobilize and use it. Yu Shangyun is the Empress of the Divine Moon Clan. Her affinity with the Moon Core energy is extremely high. The Nether Sun Moon she controls is strong enough. She can control enough Moon Core energy. The Moon Core is their home ground. If it was Qin Yun, even if he could mobilize the Moon Core energy, he would definitely not be able to do it to Yu Shangyun's level. Yu Shangyun is also very clear that if Qin Yun did not fuse the Nether Sun Moon with their Nether Sun Moon, she would not be able to control so much moon core energy so quickly. They and Qin Yun are invincible existences inside the moon core. Qin Yun, I want to eat you. The old man from the great Luo Empire is so angry that his eyes turned red and his voice is filled with resentment. You won't have the chance to eat because you're going to die soon. Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, Actually, the seal on the Divine Moon's little magic spirit has already been undone. It's just that in order to seize your Divine Son, I made the Divine Moon's little magic spirit cooperate with me. After Qin Yun finished speaking, he stored the more than 300 Divine Sun into the 9 Sun Divine Soul. Hearing Qin Yun's words, those people panicked and immediately fled. One after another, they took out spatial teleportation tools to escape from here. You want to run? You won't have the chance. The huge Nether Sun Moon suddenly released a powerful twisting power that shook the space, causing their spatial teleportation tools to directly malfunction. They are inside the moon core and can't contact the outside world, so the outside world doesn't know what is happening here. Recklessly coming to the moon core, none of you can escape. Yu Shangyun said coldly. Who are you? An old man from the great Luo Empire said in fear, because he seems to have heard Yu Shangyun's voice before. I am the Emperor of the Divine Moon Clan. Yu Shangyun's ice-cold voice is filled with anger. The crown prince of your empire once spoke rudely to me and said many things that made me feel disgusted. I want to cripple you all and let those bullshit crown princes know that I am not someone to be trifled with. Yu Shangyun is the emperor of the Divine Moon Clan. Although those crown princes have never seen her before, they know that she is extremely beautiful. In addition to her status as the emperor of the Divine Moon Clan and the 9 Heavens Goddess, they all want to subdue her and make her their female slave. This made Yu Shangyun very angry. When the crown prince's cultivation did not regress, they were indeed very powerful. However, their current cultivation is only at the 9th level of the divine space realm, so Yu Shangyun is not afraid of them. Little magic spirit, I'll leave it to you, Qin Yun said. Humph, you are only helping me break the seal now, I can't wait any longer. Divine Moon's little magic spirit's voice came out. It is a little girl's voice. It is filled with resentment. I deliberately said that before to anger those guys. Qin Yun laughed and said, Little magic spirit, you can attack as much as you want now. Remember, leave those guys from the Empire behind. Sister Shangyun will use them to vent her anger. Chapter 3245. Qin Yun could have let the Divine Moon little magical spirit break the seal a long time ago, but he was worried that this little girl magical spirit would not cooperate with him at that time. She would angrily attack and kill those people. If those people were killed, then the Divine Sun in their body would immediately turn into energy and dissipate into the moon core. To Qin Yun, this would be a great waste. The myriad heaven's divine moon does not need energy because the entire divine moon itself is an enormous energy. Furthermore, it can absorb the energy of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. Thus, in the eyes of the divine moon little magical spirit, those few hundred divine sun are as worthless as sand. Once the sealed little magical spirit breaks the seal, she would not listen to Qin Yun at all. She would immediately exterminate those people in rage. Yu Shangyun and the others completely understood Qin Yun's actions. These divine sun are very precious resources to them. For example, Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi, they have always been trying to cultivate a small divine universe purple sun, but they have never succeeded. Now that they have suddenly obtained so many, they do not need to cultivate anymore. They directly let Qin Yun refine them into their bodies. After knowing that the divine moon little magical spirit's seal has been broken, the expressions of the cosmos gods, the 4 great empires and the Taisher powers became even uglier. Because they know that in the moon core, when the magical spirit is not sealed, it is an unparalleled existence. Little magical spirit, wait. Before Yu Shangyun finished speaking, an incomparably powerful energy suddenly surged out from the moon core. It gathered together and enveloped those people. Yu Shangyun did not continue speaking because it is already too late. She planned to let the divine moon little magical spirit be gentler and leave the people of the 4 great empires to her. She will cripple them and then return them to the crown princes of those empires. The divine moon little magical spirit does not have any sense of propriety. To this kind of powerful magical spirit, there is no such thing as mercy. The enemies in the moon core were instantly destroyed by the divine moon little magical spirit using powerful energy. They died until not even dregs remained. In the eyes of the divine moon little magical spirit, this is nothing more than transforming some flesh and blood energy into the purest energy. Qin Yun sighed inwardly. Killing that group of people like this is letting them off too easily. Furthermore, they have many powerful equipment on them. If he could collect them, it would be a very good harvest. Qin Yun told the divine moon's little magic spirit to leave those empire's people behind, but she did not hear his words. Is it over? Zi Qingqing looked around. It was empty. All the buildings on the ground had been destroyed. In the blink of an eye, that group of powerful warriors had been reduced to ashes, turning into a mist of energy. This group of despicable fellows, they were all created by the universe law spirit. The universe law spirit is becoming more and more despicable. I hate him. The Xunyu little magic spirit's voice was full of displeasure. The thing he created actually wants to use me. What a bastard. Little Fa Ling, how did they sneak in and seal you? Yu Shangyun asked. It's all because of the trash from the heaven-splitting ancient clan. Many of them are traitors. They were the ones who brought those guys in. Shin Yu little magic spirit said angrily. To think that I thought so highly of them and even helped them become stronger, who knew that they would be so useless. Qin Yun met Yu Lifan before. At that time, he told Yu Lifan to eliminate the traitors in the heaven-splitting ancient clan. Because the great Luo Empire had planted many traitors in the heaven-splitting ancient clan, it was very harmful to them. For example, this time, it almost caused the divine moon's little magic spirit to have an accident. These guys can be considered tactful. They knew that they had harmed me this time, so they immediately left the heaven's divine moon. They sent me a message before, saying that they were very sorry and that they would never enter the heaven's divine moon again. Shin Yu little magic spirit said. How many people are left in the divine moon great land? Yu Shangyun asked. The divine moon's little magic spirit understands this the most. They're all gone. The moment I was sealed, I told the people in our camp to immediately evacuate the mystic moon land. The faster, the better, the mystic moon little magic spirit said. Right now, only those despicable people are here. Get rid of them, Yu Shangyun said. I already got rid of them while we were talking. Divine Moon's little magic spirit giggled and said, Sister Shangyun, this Qin Yun is quite reliable. Yuelan always talks about her little husband. This is the first time I have seen him. Little magic spirit, can you contact the 9-sun magic spirit? What's his situation now? Qin Yun hastily asked. He heard that these magic spirits are connected to each other. He is currently fighting with the universe's magic spirit. That's why the universe's magic spirit can't interfere too much with the heaven's divine moon, heaven's divine desolate and myriad realms divine Sunday. Big Brother 9-sun magic spirit. He originally wanted to transform into a human, but a problem occurred and he was disrupted by the universe's magic spirit. Fight! Qin Yun is somewhat amazed. I also don't know how they are fighting. In short, it is still very gentle and not too intense. Divine Moon's little magic spirit lightly sighed. The original grandfather universe's magic spirit was very good. But now, he has been led astray by other universes' magic spirit and fused with them. He is no longer the original him. The relationship between these magic spirits was originally very good, but many things happened later on, causing it to become like this. Little magic spirit, what do you plan to do next? Qin Yun asked. After the universe's magic spirit became like this, the universe god race he created immediately attacked you. This time it was Yulan who contacted me and told me to immediately come over to save you. It's hard to say in the future. Yu Shangyu nodded and said, Little magic spirit, the universe god race will definitely not let you off. In their eyes, you are very easy to bully, they will definitely come again. This is also the reason why Divine Moon's little magic spirit is very angry. They want to use me to create even stronger new humans or cosmos gods. These fellows have the help of the cosmos law spirit and gave them a very strong seal. That's why they can seal me. Fortunately, they aren't strong and can't unleash the full power of the seal. Otherwise, it would be hard to break it. The universe's magic spirit created the universe god race and the new humans. The Nine-Sun magic spirit improved the bloodline of the primal beginning humans. Then I will also create humans that belong to the heaven's divine moon. Sister Shangyun, I plan to start with your divine moon race and use your divine moon race as the foundation to create a new divine moon race. This way we will be able to fight against the new humans and the universe god race. Divine Moon's little magic spirit spoke out her thoughts. As long as there is no harm to us, of course I agree. Yu Shangyun said, Little magic spirit, you can reform us, but the premise is that you can't harm us. That's for sure. You are all my good sisters, how could I harm you? Divine Moon's little magic spirit smiled and said, Qin Yun, thank you very much for saving me. I will give you a chance to cultivate and increase your mental power. How much you can increase will depend on your luck. Chapter 3246. Qin Yun's mental power is a big shortcoming. His body has already caught up and has been upgraded in Taisher Nirvana City. His upper limit of divine space power is 300,000 and he can break through to the 9th level of divine space realm at any time. However, he wants to pursue an even higher limit. He is thinking of a way to increase his upper limit of divine space power to 500,000 and then step into the 9th level of divine space realm. At that time, his upper limit of divine space power will be able to reach 1 million. Old brother Taisher currently does not have a better way to increase his divine space power. Even piling up divine universe golden stones is useless. He can only use other extreme methods, but it is still very slow. If he wants to increase his mental power, Qin Yun needs to make a further breakthrough in order to continue increasing his mental power. Now that the Divine Moon Little Magic Spirit has given him a chance to increase his mental power, he naturally cannot miss it. Little Magic Spirit, I'm ready. Let's begin. Qin Yun is already impatient. Big Sister Shangyun, bring him along. I'm very tired, I'm going to rest. Divine Moon Little Magic Spirit said. Yu Shangyun nodded at Qin Yun and said, Follow me. Ling Yuner, Shui Tianzi and Zi Qingqing also returned to the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit to see the Divine Sun that Qin Yun just obtained. They want to try and see if they can fuse the Divine Sun into their body. Yu Shangyun brought Qin Yun and landed on the ground of the moon's core. The ground inside the moon's core has already been cleaned by the Divine Moon Little Magic Spirit. Now it is completely empty. However, after Yu Shangyun and Qin Yun landed on the ground, a silver-white tower suddenly appeared in front of them. After entering the tower, they saw a very large pool, surrounded by a vast expanse of whiteness. There is actually a space inside the tower. This tower is the moon's core. After Yu Shangyun entered, she put away her armor and took off her white clothes. Qin Yun is startled. He knew that to cultivate mental power, he had to enter this pool. Come down, Yu Shangyun said. This is the Myriad Heaven's Divine Moon Lake, Yu Shangyun said. The women of our Divine Moon clan used to soak in this lake to cultivate their mental energy. Originally, men were not allowed to enter, but little Faling Ling has made an exception. Qin Yun quickly arrived at the lake. With Yu Shangyun's help, the two of them began cultivating the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra. Qin Yun did not know to what extent his mental power could be raised. He only knew that the increase was very fast, and it was mainly because of Yu Shangyun's help. This was because only the divine moon female could absorb the energy of the myriad heavens' divine moon pond. Then, by cultivating with Qin Yun, he could obtain energy from it. 3 days passed. Qin Yun and Yu Shangyun came out of the pagoda. He was still somewhat reluctant to part because he had indeed spent the past few days very relaxed. It was mainly because of Yu Shangyun's company. Although the current Yu Shangyun was still ice cold, she was much gentler than before, especially the wonderful fragrance on her body, which was getting stronger and stronger. Yun, it will be very difficult to raise the upper limit of your divine universe power. In the past few days, Yu Shangyun also knew the direction of Qin Yun's cultivation. There should be a way. Only in this way, after I step into the 9th level of the divine space realm, will I be able to possess an even stronger fighting strength. Qin Yun said. He had originally planned to cultivate the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra together with Yu Shangyun to see if she could help him improve a little. However, he had tried a few times now, but to no avail. However, his divine universe power had increased by 2,000. His upper limit of divine universe power had already reached 4,000. Now that you have stepped into the 9th level of the divine space realm, your upper limit of divine universe power can increase to 600,000, which is already very strong. Currently, in the divine desolate, 400,000 divine universe power is the limit. Yu Shangyun said. Don't forget the new humans and the cosmos god race. Qin Yun shook his head. Since I can reach 600,000, then others can also reach it, so I have to be higher than them. Maybe the Phoenix Queen has this kind of method. I originally planned to go with you to find her, but now I have to take charge of the matters of the new divine moon race. Yu Shangyun raised her head and looked at the divine moon little magic spirit floating in the air. It's fine, I can talk to Phoenix Queen, I can handle it. Qin Yun said with a smile. I will go to the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land now, she should be very anxious. Inside the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land, many of Luo Shuang's people have sneaked in. How could Phoenix Queen not be anxious? If she did not find these people in the huge Vermilion Bird Treasured Land, she would definitely not be at peace in the future. Be careful. Yu Shangyun took the initiative to kiss Qin Yun. Qin Yun hugged her for a while, and then left Yuexin. After he left, Divine Moon Little Magic Spirit said, Sister Shangyun, is this Qin Yun really reliable? The 9 Yang Dharma Spirit had chosen him, which meant that it had placed everything on him. If he is not reliable, we will all be done for. Little Magic Spirit, what is the situation with 9 Sun Law Spirit? Yu Shangyun asked. You can't tell him too much, right? The 9 Yang Dharma Spirit didn't allow me to say it. In short, he is indeed fighting with the Universe Dharma Spirit, but he is at a disadvantage. As for the other details, I can't say. The little Shin Yu Dharma Spirit said, Actually, that's all at the level of Dharma Spirits. You humans don't need to know, you just need to do things according to your own ideas. Yu Shangyun took out a teleportation formation pillar and began to arrange it. It can be used to teleport to the 4 divine suns and divine moon women from there. Qin Yun left the divine moon, entered the heaven-leaping shuttle, and immediately rushed to the human snake treasured land. The dragon race outside the 9 sun sacred land will welcome the unification of the human snake treasured land. This unification will be on a much larger scale than before. Under the human snake treasured land is the Taishur Nirvana city. The dragon turtle race and many other powerful races have already sent people to undergo nirvana and awaken the memories of the ancient Taishur. After arriving at the human snake treasured land, Qin Yun immediately met with Long Shu. Long Shu is now the dragon emperor of the dragon race. She did not disappoint Qin Yun and used her formidable power to unify the dragon race. Now, the dragon race can enter the Taisher Nirvana city and obtain an even more powerful Taisher bloodline. When we went to the White Tiger Treasured Land, we learned that there is an Azure Dragon race and a Fire Dragon race in the Nine Sun Sacred Land. They are both very powerful dragon races, and they have already introduced the barbarian bloodline. Long Shu said, most of the powerful races in the Nine Sun Sacred Land are going to become one with the barbarians. What about the Black Tortoise race? Qin Yun asked. The Black Tortoise race and the Great Luo Empire have formed an alliance. Long Shu sighed. Among the powerful races in the Nine Sun Sacred Land, only the Vermilion Bird race and the White Tiger race are willing to join our alliance. It doesn't matter, we have the Taisher Nirvana city. It can make our allies even stronger. Long Shu, I want to make a trip to the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. You must be careful during this period of time and guard your treasured land well. Qin Yun exhorted. Alright, I got it. I will discuss it with the Dragon Turtle race leader. Long Shu nodded. Qin Yun immediately went through the Human Snake Treasured Land's teleportation formation and went to the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. This is the first time he is going to a powerful race's treasured land in the Nine Sun Sacred Land. Chapter 3247. The last time he entered the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, there were not so many powerful races. The Four Empires and the Taisher forces had not arrived either. Back then, the most dangerous creatures in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground were the barbarians, especially the barbarian humans. The immense power they possessed was something Qin Yun could never forget. Back then, a few seniors of the Heaven-Splitting clan had no choice but to perish together with the barbarians in order to save their juniors. That was the only way for them to escape. There were still barbarians in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, and they were getting stronger and stronger. The four great empires, the Taisher factions, and many powerful races in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground were all absorbing the bloodline of the barbarians to make them stronger. This was enough to show how terrifying the barbarians were. The barbarian humans also needed to absorb the Grand Prime's bloodline to improve their bloodline and make them stronger. After the barbarian humans evolved, they were also the new generation of humans. In this way, the new humans in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground would be divided into two camps. The four great empires and the Taisher factions were on the same side, and they were going to fight against the barbarians. Because for many years, the universes that the four empires were in had been fighting with the barbarian race universe, and they often had to prevent the barbarian race universe from invading. Qin Yun arrived at a large city in the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. The city's walls and barrier had already been breached and traces of battle could be seen everywhere. Before he came, he had already informed the Phoenix Queen. The Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground was divided into two regions, one for the Vermilion Bird Tribe and one for the Phoenix Kingdom. Because the treasured land was very big, even if it was divided into two regions and built dozens of big cities, the treasured land still seemed very spacious. More than 10 big cities in Treasure Land City had been attacked. Luo Shuang had led Wang Tiange to attack. Although they had just attacked quickly, it had given the Vermilion Bird clan and the Phoenix Kingdom a headache. Qin Yun arrived at Phoenix Kingdom's Phoenix Royal City. He went straight to a teleportation hall in Phoenix Palace. Phoenix Queen was already waiting for him there. The Phoenix Queen was wearing a fiery red phoenix armor, and she was always in combat mode. It could be seen that the crisis in the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground had not been resolved yet. General Chu Limin had already returned. She was currently searching for the enemy hidden within the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground. Your Excellency, you're finally here. How have you been resting these days? I've just finished dealing with the Human Snake Paradise, and now I have to trouble you with the Vermilion Bird Paradise. I'm really sorry. Although the Phoenix Queen's cold and elegant face was filled with dignity, she still spoke very courteous words. I'm in good shape right now. I can start right away, said Qin Yun. He looked around. There were quite a number of people here. They were all trusted aides of the Phoenix Queen. There were men and women, a total of dozens of people. They had never seen the God King before. This time, they wanted to see the God King's glory. They had long heard that Qin Yun had transformed their Phoenix army to become extremely powerful, so they were very impressed by Qin Yun, a divine king. And this time, when the Daluo Empire and the Supreme Hall attacked the human snake treasure ground, they did not gain any advantage at all. Instead, they suffered heavy losses and had no choice but to flee. It could be said that Qin Yun had become very famous in this battle. Many powerful races had no choice but to be unconvinced. Come, I'll take you to see the leader of the Vermilion Bird tribe. The Phoenix Queen said. She has wanted to meet you for a long time. Qin Yun nodded and followed Phoenix Queen out of Phoenix Palace. They flew into the sky and headed for where the Vermilion Bird Patriarch was. Now, with only Qin Yun and Phoenix Queen, Qin Yun could ask her about the Nine Heavens Goddess. Queen, has Sister Shang Yun contacted you? Qin Yun asked. She contacted me not too long ago and said that you would come. She also said that you stayed at the Moon's Heart for a few days. Phoenix Queen naturally knew about the intimate relationship between Qin Yun and Yu Shang Yun. She said that you went to the Moon's Heart for an important matter and wanted you to tell me about it. Phoenix Queen looked at the 8 myriad realms' divine suns in the sky. It was afternoon and the sunlight was fierce, but it made her feel somewhat uneasy. Cosmos God Race, 4 great empires and Taisher powers, they entered the Moon's Heart and sealed the divine Moon's little magic spirit. Qin Yun said, I went to the Moon's Heart for this matter. Phoenix Queen's heroic eyebrows wrinkled and said, the situation is actually this serious? Even the divine Moon almost suffered a calamity. It seems like the universe's magic spirit has completely changed. Your Majesty, I heard from Sister Shang Yun that you are also a 9 Heavens goddess and a rather special one at that. Qin Yun said. He originally came to the Vermilion Bird treasure ground to help, and now, he also wanted to try and see if he could obtain any inheritance from her. Yes, I should be the most special among the 9 Heavens goddesses. Xian Qingning and Luo Shuang may have inherited their mother's status as 9 Heavens goddesses, but I am still a little different from them. Phoenix Queen said. Wait, Luo Shuang is also a 9 Heavens goddess? Qin Yun was shocked. If she isn't a 9 Heavens goddess, how could she have such a high status? She brought an elite army of the Celestial Arch of Origin Luo and the strongest army of the Wang Tiange. Otherwise, the Vermilion Bird treasure ground wouldn't have been beaten to such a state. Phoenix Queen was very angry when she talked about this matter. Luo Shuang attacked the Vermilion Bird treasure ground purely to show off and force her to leave the 9 Sun sacred ground. Compared to the two of them, how are you special? Qin Yun asked. Luo Yaofeng, Tianshiru, and Tianshixiang have all reincarnated many times. Therefore, the inheritance memories they received from the universe's magic spirit will become less and less. Xian Qingning, Luo Shuang, and I all inherited the previous 9 Heavens goddesses' inheritance. We are all passed down from mother to daughter, but even so, a lot of the inheritance will still be lost. Xian Qingning and Luo Shuang's inheritance has been lost over the years. Although I inherited it from them, my inheritance memories have not been lost. Phoenix Queen said. Why haven't you lost it? Qin Yun was very surprised. That's because the first 9 Heavens goddess of my lineage sealed her inheritance in her soul from the beginning and never touched it. She then passed it down from generation to generation. Phoenix Queen said, even in my generation, the inheritance memories of the universe's magic spirit are still sealed. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. This inheritance of the 9 Heavens goddess had been passed down for so many generations. He had thought that it had only been passed down for 2 generations. Then when can the inheritance memories be unsealed? Qin Yun asked. Sister Shang Yun said that this is very important to you. It might be a very important secret of yours. Phoenix Queen suddenly fell silent. She looked ahead and did not say a word as she flew in the air. She seemed to be hesitating if she should tell Qin Yun. After a while, Phoenix Queen said, I also don't know how to unseal it. My mother told me that this seal can only be unsealed by the universe's magic spirit. It was the first 9 heavens goddess of my lineage who requested the universe's magic spirit to seal it. Chapter 3248. Qin Yun more or less guessed that Phoenix Queen was unable to undo the seal. Otherwise, she would have obtained the inheritance of the universe law spirit long ago. Your Excellency, do you want to know what inheritance the universe law spirit gave me? Phoenix Queen asked. My current cultivation is facing a bottleneck. I might not be able to break through. Qin Yun believes that the inheritance left behind by the universe law spirit is definitely related to cultivation. This inheritance is very important to me. It might be a cultivation technique that belongs only to me. This kind of cultivation technique can't be known by others. If someone knew, it would mean that I would be in great danger. Phoenix Queen said, What's more, I can't undo the seal right now. Like Luo Shuang and Xian Qingning's inheritance, what is it like? Qin Yun asked, Did they become very strong because of the inheritance? The inheritance they obtained has been shared with the Taisher powers over the years. This is also one of the reasons why the Taisher powers are so powerful. In addition, many of those cultivation techniques were only suitable for them. However, they were unable to cultivate so many techniques, and if they were to spread out, others would not be able to cultivate them. Over time, they were lost. The Phoenix Queen sighed. As for my inheritance, I don't know what it is. Qin Yun said, Queen, I might be able to help you undo the seal. I don't need you to share the inheritance with me. I just hope that you can give me some pointers when the time comes. This won't touch upon the core secrets of your cultivation technique. Phoenix Queen shook her head and said, Your Excellency, I know you are very capable, especially in the Tao of inscription. However, that seal is very powerful. Other than the universe law spirit, no one can undo it. I might be able to. Qin Yun is very confident. Alright, wait until you help our Vermilion Bird treasured land clean up those hiding fellows. I'll let you try. Phoenix Queen can only let Qin Yun give it a try. She holds onto a trace of hope. If he can truly undo the seal, it will be of great benefit to her. Not long after, Qin Yun followed Phoenix Queen to the Vermilion Bird Patriarch's mansion. This is a 1,000-meter tall tree. She lives inside the tree hole. Phoenix Queen brought Qin Yun into a very large tree hole and arrived at a reception hall. The tree hole is very bright. The main reason is that the tree's flesh naturally emits light. That kind of pale white light shone on the body and felt very comfortable. This tree wasn't the biggest in the Vermilion Bird Paradise, but it was the most precious. The Vermilion Bird bloodline flowed through the Vermilion Bird's veins. They could be vermilion birds, but they could also transform into humans. Only in an extremely intense battle would they transform into a powerful vermilion bird. Most of the time, they maintained their human form, so they could also be considered humans. The Vermilion Bird tribe's chief was an old granny. She was tall and skinny, and her face was cold and stern. She looked a bit fierce, and her eyes gave off a threatening glint. Accompanying the Vermilion Bird Patriarch were more than 10 Vermilion Bird elders. They were all here to watch the godly monarch. After learning of Qin Yun's arrival, they naturally welcomed him. When the Vermilion Bird Patriarch saw Qin Yun, she, who didn't like to smile, squeezed out a smile to welcome him. Welcome, Divine King. Because there are many things in the treasured ground, I didn't go out to welcome you. Please forgive me. The Vermilion Bird clan leader said. When the Vermilion Bird Paradise was experiencing a fierce battle, Qin Yun was fighting against the enemies in the Human Snake Paradise. I was unable to help you. Please forgive me. Qin Yun originally wanted to come over to help, but he really couldn't leave. The Vermilion Bird Patriarch laughed and said, Divine King, there's no need to be polite. Now that we have repelled the enemies and we have a common enemy, we have also become allies. We are extremely grateful for Divine King's help this time. The Vermilion Bird Paradise had many enemies with extremely strong concealment abilities. This was the biggest headache for the Vermilion Bird tribe. If they couldn't find these people, the entire Vermilion Bird Paradise would not be able to have peace. If we want to find the enemies hiding in the Vermilion Bird Paradise, we need extremely strong mental power to carry out a large-scale search. Qin Yun said. Right now we are using our mental power to search, but the Vermilion Bird Precious Land is very big, and some of those fellows are hiding deep underground, making our search a lot more difficult. An elder said. He was an elder of the Vermilion Bird race. We have already strictly guarded the city gates to prevent the enemies from sneaking into the cities to cause destruction. However, as long as they are still hiding in the Vermilion Bird Paradise, it will cause us endless trouble in the future. Another clan elder said with a worried expression, Divine King, do you have a better way for us to easily find those fellows? Qin Yun nodded. I have a way, but I need some Divine Universe metal stones. Let me briefly explain my train of thought. It is to refine a type of tool. The main core of this tool is the Divine Moon. As everyone knows, the Divine Moon can transform energy into powerful mental power. This way, this kind of tool can release even stronger mental power, cover a wider area to search, and even go deep underground. I plan to put this tool on the flying ship. As long as we control the ship to fly in the air, we can sweep the ground. When everyone heard Qin Yun's idea, they all nodded their heads, but they still had many doubts. Your Excellency, where should we get this Divine Moon? Should we look for the Divine Moon clan? The Phoenix Queen asked. They should be willing to lend it to us, right? Her relationship with Yu Shangyun is not bad, but she is not sure if she can get that many Divine Moons. The Divine Moons they cultivate are not suitable for this kind of thing. I will create a specialized Divine Moon to create the needed tool. This is not a difficult matter for me. Qin Yun said. He had previously refined a nether moon for Yu Yu. With his current strength, combined with the Moon Bloodline Heavenly Rune Box, creating a Divine Moon is very easy. I will create 1,000 small Divine Moons. This will require some time and Divine Universe metal stones. Qin Yun said, about 5 trillion Divine Universe metal stones. No problem. The Vermilion Bird clan leader said, we have Divine Universe metal stones, shall we start now? How long will it take? About 10 days. Qin Yun said. 10 to create 1,000 small Divine Moons? Everyone present is extremely shocked. This Divine Moon only specializes in converting Divine Universe Goldstones into special psyche powers. It's specially used for searching, so it's not a Divine Moon in the true sense of the word. Therefore, it's rather simple to create, said Qin Yun with a smile. Everyone, prepare the flying ship. Soon after, everyone began to get busy. The Phoenix Queen brought Qin Yun to a very spacious underground palace and told him to do it there. The others either transported the Divine Universe metal stones to Qin Yun or prepared a large ship. Qin Yun let Ling Yuner, Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi come out. They also have Divine Moon. Using the primal beginning Divine Mirror, they can quickly duplicate their small Divine Moon. In addition, they can use their own Divine Moon to pour in Divine Universe power. Chapter 3249. Zi Qingqing and Shui Tianzi had tried to fuse with the Divine Sun in the 9 Sun Divine Soul, but found it extremely difficult. They could only wait for Qin Yun to fuse with them when he had time. Now, they were doing their best to help Qin Yun create that special little Divine Moon. With the large amount of Divine Universe Goldstones provided by the Vermilion Bird race, it could be completed even faster. Qin Yun also needed the assistance of the Dan Transformation Heavenly Furnace and the Divine King Heavenly Seal to transform the little Divine Moon. The Vermilion bird race trusted Qin Yun very much and would cooperate with him to provide him with large amounts of divine universe goldstones. Moreover, the Vermilion bird race was in contact with the White Tiger race because they were now allies. The White Tiger treasure land had suffered a large-scale invasion and suffered great losses. With the help of the Vermilion bird race and the Phoenix Kingdom, they could recover faster. The Vermilion bird race and the Phoenix Kingdom needed to find powerful allies in the Nine Sun Sacred Land because they already knew of the existence of the new humans. There would soon be 2 camps of new humans in the Nine Sun Sacred Land. At that time, the 2 treasure lands of the Vermilion bird race and the White Tiger race would be caught in the middle. If they were not strong enough, they would definitely be toyed with by the 2 camps. The Nine Sun Sacred Land was very large and occupied nearly 30% of the entire divine desolate land. It was also the most abundant in resources. The new humans of the 2 camps did not need to leave the Nine Sun Sacred Land, so they would mainly move within the Sacred Land. When they were strong enough, they would go out and start attacking the treasure lands of various powerful races. This was their path of conquest. In the Nine Sun Sacred Land, other than the 2 camps of the new humans, there was another powerful existence above the new humans: the Cosmos God race. No one knew how powerful the Cosmos God race was because they had yet to display their strongest power. The human snake treasure land had been publicly renamed as the Dragon Province and would be the main territory of the dragon race. There would be many large cities built in the Dragon Province, all belonging to the various dragon race tribes. The human snake race had also joined the dragon race. The dragon turtle race would now migrate to the Dragon Province. They did not give up on the dragon turtle treasure land. The Myriad Realms Divine Court had built a large teleportation formation between the dragon turtle treasure land and the Dragon Province, so they could go to the dragon turtle treasure land to mine resources. The Myriad Realms Divine Court also had a large city in the Dragon Province. They could enter Taishur Nirvana City to undergo nirvana. Due to the victory of the human snake treasure land, the powerful clans outside of the Nine Sun Sacred Ground had to join the Divine Court of the Myriad Realms and promise to abide by the rules set by the Divine Court of the Myriad Realms. The supreme ruler of the Divine Court of the Myriad Worlds was godly monarch Qin Yun, so it was equivalent to him being acknowledged. The strongest race outside of the Nine Sun Sacred Ground was the All Heavens Dragon race, with the All Heavens Dragon clan taking the lead to maintain the order of the Myriad Realms Divine Court. The other powerful clans could only follow suit. Those powerful clans were not stupid because they knew that there were many super forces in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. They were all colossal existences that looked down on all living beings outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. The forces in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground were extremely powerful, and they could obtain a large amount of resources from there. Once they were bored in the sacred ground or needed resources from the outside, the powerful clans outside the sacred ground would definitely be slaughtered like weeds. It wasn't as if such a thing had never happened before. From time to time, the powerful races within the Holy Land would form teams to attack the treasured lands of the powerful races outside. They called this behavior training. Qin Yun was refining the little divine moon in the underground palace of the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground. He was unaware of the changes in the situation outside the Nine Sun Sacred Land. If he were to know, he would definitely be surprised. This was because he was previously very worried that the powerful races outside the sacred ground would switch to the faction of the new humans. If all the powerful races outside the Nine Sun Sacred Land became the new humans, then the entire divine wilderness would be in danger. However, the current situation was that the major forces in the Nine Sun Sacred Land did not care about the powerful races outside. In their opinion, the powerful races outside the sacred ground were all lowly and did not deserve to be called the new humans. 10 days had passed and the situation inside and outside the Nine Sun Sacred Land had changed significantly. Qin Yun did not need to worry about the arrangements for the human snake treasure ground because the divine court of the myriad realms and the all-heavens dragon race would take care of it. 1,000 little divine moons had been created and placed inside the 9 sun divine soul. Qin Yun had used a large number of divine universe goldstones and did not disappoint the vermilion bird race. More than 1,000 large and small flying ships have already stopped outside. Next, Qin Yun will place the refined small divine moon on their flying ship. These ships were mainly from the Phoenix Kingdom. The people controlling the flying ships were all trustworthy. The method to use the little divine moon is also very simple. It is to consume the divine universe goldstones and then transform them into special divine cosmos power. It can cover a very large area and even go deep underground to sense life forms. As a result, these flying ships could sweep through the Vermilion Bird Paradise and quickly find the enemies that were hiding in the Vermilion Bird Paradise. In 2 or 3 days, these flying ships set off one after another. They were divided into small groups responsible for patrolling the area. This way, they can completely cover the Vermilion Bird treasure ground and carry out a long-term search. At this speed, it won't take more than 10 days to search the entire Vermilion Bird treasure ground. Phoenix Queen is in a large hall, looking at the huge map on the table. This table is like a crystal. It was specially made by Qin Yun. You can see the flying trajectories of the 1,000 patrolling flying ships. The Vermilion Bird clan leader revealed a smile and said, "We have already received news saying that we have found the enemies. We searched for so long before but couldn't find a single one. Now there are results so quickly. Luo Shuang must have left behind a lot of people, and they are all very important. As long as we capture them, it will definitely make Luo Shuang anxious." Qin Yun said. After half a day, they had captured thousands of enemies who were hiding deep underground. Both the Vermilion Bird tribe and the Phoenix Kingdom were impressed by Qin Yun's power. At night, with the help of the Divine Moon's power, the patrol ship's detection range was greater, and it could penetrate deeper into the earth to detect life forms. Thus, night was the best time to search. In the middle of the night, an important message came from a patrol ship. They found a huge circular building here, and there were at least 3,000 living beings inside. It should be left behind by Luo Shuang and the others the last time they attacked. The Phoenix Queen pointed at a place on the map and said, "Your Excellency, are you interested in coming with us to take a look?" "Let's go." Qin Yun nodded. The Phoenix Queen brought the 5 powerful generals and entered Qin Yun's heaven-leaping shuttle. They immediately teleported to the spot where they discovered the circular building. Several patrol ships had explored the area and confirmed the location of the circular building. "I want to chat with more like-minded people about?" $article_title? Follow You Read Literature on WeChat, chatting about life and looking for a bosom friend. Chapter 3250. Qin Yun also had a probing tool, and it also had the ability to drill into the ground. All he needed to do was add a mysterious penetration divine ability talisman. After a series of probing, it was confirmed that the thing underground was a spherical object that was thousands of meters wide. It should be a large aircraft that had the ability to conceal itself. Such a big thing was hidden deep underground. We actually didn't know about it before. After the Phoenix Queen learned of the size of this thing, she was very puzzled. Even if they had such a thing during the chaotic battle, we should have discovered it, right? Queen, this location is still rather remote. During the battle, no one came here. An old general said. However, such a big thing should have left some traces after being sent deep underground. The Phoenix Queen could see that below them was a forest. The trees towered into the sky and there were no traces of destruction at all. Someone went deep underground to place it there. Qin Yun said, "First, put this large spherical aircraft in a very large storage space, then go deep underground and open up a space that can accommodate this tool. Then, release the spherical aircraft." If that's really the case, then they must have paid a great price to place the spherical aircraft down there. The Phoenix Queen said, hundreds of thousands of meters underground, it's hidden very deep. That is the deepest underground boundary of the Vermilion Bird treasured ground. The enemies hiding in the Vermilion Bird treasured ground have been found one after another. Luo Shuang should already know about it. She might make another move and launch another attack. An old general reminded, "My queen, should we strengthen our defenses? In case the barrier is breached again." Qin Yun said, "You can't defend against their attack for the time being. You can go to the Dragon Province through the teleportation formation and seek help from the Dragon Turtle tribe. They can defend against the attacks of those super huge ships." "Alright, I'll immediately contact the Vermilion Bird Patriarch. It's more suitable for her to appear." The Phoenix Queen nodded and said, "Let's continue to catch the spies." According to the news that came in, the number of spies they found was increasing. The number had already reached 10,000. Furthermore, these spies were all very outstanding warriors. Many of them came from the Wang Tian Pavilion, a Taisher faction. It could be said that Luo Shuang had invested a lot. No one knew how many spies she had sent out after breaking through the Vermilion Bird Treasure Grounds barrier. What she could be sure of was that she had sent these spies to the Vermilion Bird Treasured Ground to make the entire treasured ground restless. Perhaps they could force the Vermilion Bird clan and the Phoenix Kingdom to leave this treasured ground, or perhaps they could destroy the core of the treasured ground. While Qin Yun and company were searching for the giant ball hidden underground, the patrolling fleets in other areas of the Vermilion Bird treasured land reported that they had also discovered a giant ball. "There's more than one of these things." The Phoenix Queen sneered and said, "It seems that Luo Shuang also knows that sending ground troops into the Vermilion Bird treasured ground will not be able to defeat us in one go. That's why she has a backup plan. Let's wait a little longer. We should be able to find more of these things soon." Qin Yun said, "I'm guessing that they buried such a thing deep underground to set up an array. It's an important array foundation. How powerful would it be if such a huge formation was set up, and there were so many of them at that?" The Phoenix Queen and the old generals were secretly frightened. If this great formation was truly activated, what kind of disaster would it bring to the Vermilion Bird treasured ground? "Fortunately, we discovered it in advance." An old general let out a long sigh and said, "Your Excellency Divine King, can you stop this great formation from activating?" Qin Yun smiled and said, "This great formation hasn't been activated yet. They purposely hid it so deep to avoid being attacked. If we can discover it now, we can destroy their plan to set up the formation." The Vermilion Bird treasured ground was very solid. It was extremely difficult to enter such a deep place and take out such a huge thing. Even if they wanted to enter deep underground to attack, it would be impossible to do so in a short period of time. The Vermilion Bird treasured ground was within the Nine Sun sacred ground. Furthermore, it was a huge treasure ground, so the ground was very solid. It was impossible to directly attack from the ground to a depth of hundreds of thousands of meters. Qin Yun actually had a way. He was currently waiting to determine just how many of these things there were. "Your Excellency Divine King, can you roughly see what kind of great formation this is?" an old granny asked. She was also an old general. "I don't know for now, but my guess is that it should be to interfere with the operation of the Vermilion Bird treasured grounds barrier. This way, the Vermilion Bird treasured ground would lose the protection of the barrier. Their supergiant warships would be able to attack from the sky and quickly sweep through the entire Vermilion Bird treasured ground. It would be very easy to completely defeat the army inside the Vermilion Bird treasured ground." Qin Yun said, "If they wanted to take down this kind of treasure ground, they first had to paralyze their barrier. Otherwise, their various warships would not be able to display their strength. No matter how powerful their attacks were, they might be blocked by the barrier of the treasure ground." When it was almost daybreak, the patrol fleet found a total of 20 of these giant spheres. Qin Yun looked at the large map on the table. There were already 20 marked points lit up on it. As expected, they are surrounding the core of the Vermilion Bird Treasured Grounds barrier. They really want to paralyze the Vermilion Bird Treasured Grounds barrier. Qin Yun said, then we can take action now and get these things out of the ground. 20 of them. Each of them has 3,000 people. That's 60,000 people. I wonder if they are all soldiers? Phoenix Queen frowned and said, the patrol team has found enemies hiding in the treasure ground. There are already a total of 50,000 of them. The old granny general cursed in a low voice. What exactly is Luo Shuang's intention? She just wants to step on me and kill me to make a name for herself. Phoenix Queen coldly snorted. Qin Yun already knew that Luo Shuang was also the Nine-Sun Divine Maiden. Then it wouldn't be that simple for her to deal with Phoenix Queen. It is possible that Luo Shuang knows that Phoenix Queen's soul has an important inherited memory bestowed by the Universe Law Spirit. She wants to snatch this inherited memory. Phoenix Queen herself should be clear about this, but she can't say this kind of thing out loud. Otherwise, even more people will want to snatch it away. The reason why she told Qin Yun is because she trusts him. Your Excellency Divine King, I'll have to trouble you next, Phoenix Queen said. If they wanted to get this kind of huge object out from deep underground, it would be very strenuous, and Qin Yun, the Divine King, must have a way. If I have the Queen's help, then I won't have to be so tired, Qin Yun said with a smile. If I can help, I will definitely do my best, Phoenix Queen said. Come with me to the depth. I'm afraid that my strength alone isn't enough, Qin Yun said. She nodded and then let the generals go back. She followed Qin Yun into the depth. Qin Yun brought her and used the mysterious penetration divine ability. Very quickly, they arrived at the location where the huge object was hidden. They are currently outside the sphere. Queen, is Luo Shuang trying to snatch your inheritance? Qin Yun asked with voice transmission. Yes, I won't let her succeed, Phoenix Queen said. After we settle the matter here, I'll let you help me remove the seal on the inherited memory. Chapter 3251. Qin Yun was filled with curiosity towards the inheritance left behind by the Universe Law Spirit to the Phoenix Queen. Now that the Phoenix Queen was willing to let him remove the seal, it meant that she had complete trust in him. Can I try it now? Qin Yun asked. Now? The Phoenix Queen frowned. Aren't we going to shatter Luo Shuang's formation now? Qin Yun took out the divine mirror of primal beginning and said, I'll see if I can remove the seal on your inherited memories first. It'll be quick. Come. The Phoenix Queen nodded. Qin Yun placed the divine mirror of primal beginning on top of her head and told her to relax her mind. Her soul did not release any resistance. Very quickly, old brother Taisher transmitted his voice to Qin Yun. His voice was very serious. Qin Yun, the seal on her soul is very powerful. Without absolute confidence, don't force it, otherwise it won't be good for her. What? Even old brother Taisher can't undo it? Qin Yun was very alarmed. Of course I can undo it, but it will cause her great harm. In other words, only when she dies can the seal on this inherited memory be undone. Old brother Taisher said, to perfectly undo this seal, I need a very brilliant technique. I can't do it both ways right now. Qin Yun took down the divine mirror of primal beginning. From his expression, the Phoenix Queen could already tell the result. I told you, it's very difficult to undo. The Phoenix Queen sighed. This is impossible to solve. I've tried many methods before, but I don't have a single clue. It can be done, but it will cause you great harm. This seal and your soul are closely intertwined. Right now, there is no way to get the best of both worlds, but I will definitely find a way, Qin Yun said. The Phoenix Queen was rather surprised and hurriedly asked, How much damage will it do to me? Looking at her reaction, it was obvious that she was willing to suffer a certain amount of damage to remove the seal. This was because it could make her stronger and allow her to fight against Luo Shuang and Xian Qingning, a goddess with a powerful background. It might cause your soul to dissipate, so I can't blindly try. Qin Yun shook his head and said, "Don't think about taking the risk. This is very dangerous. Even if it's risky, I still plan to try." The Phoenix Queen was actually very determined. "No, the risk is great. I don't want you to die." Qin Yun shook his head repeatedly. "Give me time, I'll think of a better way." The Phoenix Queen was very clear that her sealed inherited memories were very important. Even she dared to take the risk. However, Qin Yun did not allow her to do so. It meant that deep down in his heart, he did not covet her inherited memories. This gave Phoenix Queen a good impression. "All right, I'll wait for you." The Phoenix Queen looked at the outer wall of the giant ball and said, "There are thousands of powerful warriors inside. Can the two of us handle them? Should we kill them or capture them alive?" Qin Yun asked. "This is your territory, you have the final say. If we don't, it'll be much easier. If we don't capture them, we'll kill them all." The Phoenix Queen's expression gradually turned cold. "They attacked the Vermilion Bird treasured ground and caused many casualties to our Phoenix Kingdom and the Vermilion Bird tribe. They are invaders, and we cannot let them off lightly." Qin Yun had used the divine mirror of Grand beginning to probe the interior of the giant ball. It was empty inside and there was a lot of space. Those people gathered and moved around in the giant sphere. They had already prepared to live in the giant sphere for a long time. In order to be absolutely hidden, they had completely cut off contact with the outside world. Only when something activated the giant sphere from the outside would they be able to contact the outside world again. "Your Excellency, tell me your plan. How can I help?" Although the Phoenix Queen was powerful, she still felt somewhat weak when facing the 3,000 powerful warriors of Wang Tiange and the great Luo Empire. "I have a very powerful sun soul divine beast. I'll investigate clearly and see if she can absorb the energy of the 4 divine suns from the depth. If she can, I'll let her out." Qin Yun said, "She will enter that narrow space and absorb the power of the 4 divine suns. She can spit out a few mouthfuls of fire and heavily injure those warriors. Then, I'll leave the rest to you." And Qin Yun did not plan to fight on the stage himself. This kind of hard work could be left to a professional like the Phoenix Queen. The Phoenix Queen was indeed an expert in battle and also one of the more warlike ones. Otherwise, she would not have been able to become the queen. "If I go fight, what about you? What if no one protects you? You should have brought Luo Shu and Luo Yet." The Phoenix Queen said. I can protect myself." Qin Yun smiled and said, "I am the Divine King. I have the ability to protect myself." "That's good," the Phoenix Queen said. Qin Yun took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal and probed it. Old Brother Taisher confirmed that he can draw the divine power of the 4 divine suns deep underground and then surround the huge ball. After Yang Yang comes out, she will transform into the 9 heavens Vermilion Bird and can absorb the divine power of the 4 divine suns. Even if she can't, Yang Yang, the 9 heavens Vermilion Bird, has a lot of power in the Vermilion Bird Treasureland. This thing is not easy to enter. If we don't attack, it will be very difficult to enter quietly, right? The Phoenix Queen touched the outer wall of the huge ball. Qin Yun tried before and indeed, he couldn't enter using the mysterious penetration divine ability. "Queen, can you break through this?" Qin Yun asked. If the Phoenix Queen couldn't do it, then he would have to use the Divine King Heavenly Seal. "I'll give it a try." The Phoenix Queen took a deep breath. Suddenly, energy surged from all around and frantically entered the armor wrapped around her body. Her domineering Fire Phoenix armor seems to be able to frantically absorb energy and gather the energy from the Vermilion Bird Treasureland. Following that, she took out a large sword. The sword's body is frantically condensing energy. Qin Yun used the divine mirror of primal beginning to shine it and discovered that the divine universe power on the sword is as high as 2 million. Furthermore, it's an incomparably scorching divine universe power. With a light shout, she stabbed the sword into the outer wall of the huge ball in front of her. The large sword stabbed in heavily. The sword trembled and an intense and violent flame wave surged out, creating a large hole. The outer wall is very thick. Even if a hole was stabbed, it still wouldn't be pierced through. The Phoenix Queen continued to stab with her sword. Fortunately, the energy came from the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land, so her current consumption wasn't too great. After stabbing 10 times, she finally pierced through the outer wall of the huge ball and entered inside. After entering, the interior was very spacious. Even after accommodating 3,000 people, it still appeared very spacious. In the middle of the huge ball, there is a huge pillar with a diameter of 1,000 meters. Qin Yun can tell with a glance that it is an array pillar. When the Phoenix Queen attacked the outer wall, it created quite a commotion. The warriors inside could naturally sense it. At the beginning, they weren't worried at all because they knew very well that the outer wall of the huge ball is very sturdy. It wouldn't be easy to break through it. Even if they pierced through it, they would only be able to create a very small entrance and wouldn't be able to create a huge hole. As long as they blocked the entrance, they would kill anyone who came in. However, when the Phoenix Queen stabbed with her sword, a powerful divine universe power erupted and directly killed the people guarding beside her. Mobile users, please visit Chapter 3252. Phoenix Queen directly attacked. The great sword erupted with a wave of divine cosmos power, killing a few warriors guarding inside and bringing Qin Yun into the huge sphere. After Qin Yun saw the scene inside, a large group of armored warriors rushed over. There were a total of several hundred of them. The aura of divine cosmos power that erupted from their bodies was very terrifying, immediately suppressing Phoenix Queen's aura. Luo Shuang's lackeys, retreat for me. Phoenix Queen waved her sword and another powerful wave of divine cosmos power rippled out like a wave. Those several hundred warriors were immediately swept away by the sword energy wave. They flew over and in the blink of an eye, they were sent tumbling backwards by the surging sword energy wave. Phoenix Queen had just broken through the outer wall of the huge sphere and borrowed the power of the treasure land. This kind of method couldn't last for long. Every time she used it, she needed to rest for a period of time before she could use it again. Your Excellency God King, you can attack now. Phoenix Queen saw more than 1,000 warriors rushing over. Her expression became slightly serious as she lightly shouted. Qin Yun immediately let Yang Yang fly out. Phoenix Queen quickly saw a very cute little girl wearing a red dress fly out. She was extremely alarmed and anxious. After all, she was a very young child. At this moment, she was completely stupefied and immediately let out a strange cry. From her point of view, Qin Yun letting a little girl go out to block more than 1,000 powerful warriors was simply like striking a rock with an egg. After Yang Yang flew out, her body suddenly flickered with a resplendent purple-gold flame. Following that, a bird cry came from that huge ball of flame. A huge purple-gold vermilion bird rushed out from that ball of scorching flame. It fiercely flapped its wings and shot out a burst of purple-gold lightning flame that swept towards the 1,000 warriors. On the vermilion bird's purple-gold wings, every purple-gold feather shot out purple-gold lightning flame that carried a dense divine cosmos purple sun power. Wherever it went, it was as if the divine cosmos purple sun had the power to destroy the world. Ninth Heaven Vermilion Bird. Phoenix Queen was very shocked. She had heard before that Qin Yun released the Ninth Heaven Vermilion Bird under Nirvana City and easily defeated a powerful primordial ancient beast. She did not see it with her own eyes, so she did not know how strong this Ninth Heaven Vermilion Bird was. In her opinion, no matter how strong the Nine Heavens Vermilion Bird was, it couldn't be that strong under the current circumstances. According to her understanding of the nine heavens vermilion bird, it wasn't a particularly powerful beast. What she doesn't know is that Yang Yang is inside the nine sun divine spirit all year round, absorbing the energy of many divine suns to cultivate. Especially inside the divine universe purple sun, she can often enter the core. Even now, during the great battle, Yang Yang can still absorb the divine cosmos power of the four divine suns. In addition to Qin Yun's nine sun divine souls' divine sun power, the divine cosmos power she can erupt with is extremely terrifying. Within this huge sphere, the 3,000 warriors have all moved out at this moment, leaving only a few dozen inscription masters who don't have much fighting strength left. Yang Yang's fighting style was very simple. It was to continuously release powerful divine cosmos power, and then, through the techniques she had mastered, she would explode the divine cosmos power in a very berserk state. The purple-gold thunder flame she is releasing now is the power of the divine cosmos purple Sunday. The divine sun she has cultivated is not small. Now that it has exploded out, even if they have powerful equipment to protect their bodies, it would still be difficult for them to resist. In just a short moment, all the soldiers inside were seriously injured. Their armors didn't seem to be damaged, but the runes inside have been burned and damaged, causing the armor to be unable to insulate heat. Now they are all seriously injured by the burns. Yang Yang, you can come back and rest, Qin Yun lightly shouted. Yang Yang doesn't seem to have had enough fun, but she still listened to Qin Yun's words. She immediately turned into a little girl and flew to Qin Yun's side. Qin Yun pinched her little face and let her return to the nine sun divine soul. He told her to properly rest because he might need her to fight next. Phoenix Queen is completely relieved. She didn't expect that the mighty and powerful nine heavens vermilion bird was actually transformed by such a cute little girl. Queen, I'll leave the rest to you, Qin Yun said. All right. Phoenix Queen can now rely on her own strength to kill the rest of the enemies. She handed over a magic mirror to Qin Yun and asked him to record the following process. Then she tightly gripped the large sword in her hand and rushed over. The armors of nearly 3,000 Wang Tian Pavilion and Great Luo Empire warriors are already damaged. The main reason is that the runes inside the equipment have been burned by the flames, causing them to lose effectiveness and their defense to drop. Plus, they are seriously injured and have already lost the ability to resist. After Phoenix Queen rushed over, it was as if she was cutting melons and vegetables. Shwa 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 shwa, she killed the group of warriors in batches without even blinking. Finally, those inscription masters were also killed by Phoenix Queen. She also knows that those inscription masters are very precious and have extremely high status, but she showed no mercy. Because when the vermilion bird treasured land was breached, the enemy inscription masters put in a lot of effort. Moreover, many inscription masters from the vermilion bird race and the Phoenix Kingdom also died in the chaos of war. She will never show mercy to these enemies. Queen, it will be hard on you next. There are still 19 of these things, Qin Yun said. Before, Phoenix Queen thought that Qin Yun would be the one doing the hard work, but now it seems that Qin Yun is very relaxed. The main one fighting is Yang Yang, and she is in charge of cleaning up. She also doesn't understand Qin Yun. In the past, Qin Yun liked those beauties to do hard work for him. Of course, Phoenix Queen is absolutely not dissatisfied with Qin Yun. On the contrary, she is very grateful to Qin Yun for giving her the opportunity to take revenge. Killing these enemies hiding in the vermilion bird treasured land can not only be used for revenge, but also to ruthlessly provoke Luo Shuang. Setting up a formation under the vermilion bird treasured land is a big move. Wang Tian Pavilion and Great Luo Empire must have mobilized a lot of manpower and dispatched all kinds of outstanding warriors and inscription masters to help Luo Shuang complete the formation. And now, Phoenix Queen personally killed these important resources and destroyed Luo Shuang's formation, which cost a lot of resources. What kind of reaction would Luo Shuang have? In short, Phoenix Queen can be considered to have vented her anger. In the next few days, a large number of enemies hiding in the Vermilion Bird treasured land were uncovered. The 20 giant balls deep underground were all destroyed by Qin Yun and Phoenix Queen one by one. Luo Shuang's plan has been completely crushed. After Phoenix Queen and Qin Yun came out from underground, she immediately used the magic mirror to transmit a large number of images. They are all images of her killing spree inside the giant balls. She wants Luo Shuang to know. In less than 3 days, Luo Shuang and the others will come again. Phoenix Queen said. The Dragon Turtle clan has also sent people over. Qin Yun also wants to take advantage of this time to refine some Divine Sun nuclear bombs to welcome the 9 Heavens goddess Luo Shuang. It can be considered a greeting gift to her. Last time, Xian Qingning was bombarded and became a lot more well-behaved. She didn't even dare to take revenge. Qin Yun also wants to bombard Luo Shuang a few times to make her behave in the God Desolate. Chapter 3253. The image released by the Phoenix Queen on the magic mirror shocked the entire God Desolate heavens. Luo Shuang's mighty attack on the Vermilion Bird treasure land was very beautiful. She caught the Vermilion Bird treasure land unprepared and left many people to hide in the Vermilion Bird treasure land. After that, Luo Shuang was very proud of herself. She said that the Vermilion Bird clan and Phoenix Kingdom inside the Vermilion Bird treasure land couldn't withstand a single blow from her. She even said that she had nothing better to do. Her tone was full of contempt towards the Phoenix Queen. She even said that the Phoenix Queen was a thing of the past. The Wang Tiange and Daluo Empire were willing to give her so many warriors because of her noble status. The second reason was that the Wang Tiange and Daluo Empire wanted to divide the Vermilion Bird treasure land. The Vermilion Bird treasure land was a very rare treasure land in the 9 Sun sacred ground. There were only 4 such treasure lands in total. The White Tiger clan and the Vermilion Bird clan occupied 2 of them. The remaining 2 belonged to the Black Tortoise clan and the Azure Dragon clan. The 2 races had already formed ties with the 4 empires and many Grand Prime organizations. They had established complicated relationships with them. Therefore, the White Tiger treasure land and the Vermilion Bird treasure land were coveted by the 4 great empires and Taisher factions. The Taishan Star and Hualing Empire attacked the White Tiger treasure land and retreated in defeat. Luo Shuang led the Wang Tiange and Daluo Empire's armies to attack the Vermilion Bird treasure land. Now, it was obvious that they were defeated. It was very difficult to take down these 2 treasure lands. Luo Shuang saw the Phoenix Queen kill so many of the warriors she placed in the Vermilion Bird treasure land through the magic mirror. Her heart was filled with anger. What made her want to vomit blood the most was that the warriors and inscription masters inside the giant spheres were all killed. It should be known that the Daluo Empire and Wang Tiange spent a lot of money to create these giant spheres. They were rarely used, and were mainly used to set up super formations. Now, they were all inside the Vermilion Bird treasure land. The worst part was that there were no self-destruct devices inside the giant spheres. Wasn't this the same as giving them to the enemy? The upper echelons of Wang Tiange and the Origin Luo Empire were on the verge of losing their minds. They submitted petitions to the Wang Tiange Pavilion Master and the Origin Luo Celestial Emperor, asking them to take action and punish Princess Luo Shuang. Luo Shuang had just emerged as the powerful princess of the Daluo Empire. She had the power to suppress the crown prince of the Daluo Empire. She had Wang Tiange as her backer and the Daluo Celestial Emperor's favor. At the same time, she was supported by the Daluo Celestial Emperor to fight against the crown prince. However, not long after, the Phoenix Queen poured a bucket of cold water on her, who was feeling proud of herself. In the depths of the 9 Sun sacred ground, there was a huge city in the core bustling area. The city walls and the buildings in the city were all dazzling. This was the Great Luo Imperial City. The Great Luo Empire occupied 10 large treasure grounds within the 9 Sun Sacred Ground and had combined them to form a huge array formation. At the same time, the energy and resources of the 10 large-scale treasure lands were being transferred to the Imperial City, making the Imperial City even more prosperous. Luo Shuang stood on the roof of a tall building in this unimaginably majestic city. A super battleship was hovering above her. Luo Shuang's skin was very white, as if it was covered by a layer of frost. Although she was beautiful, her beauty was unreal. She was like a soulless, pale demoness. She was dressed in red battle armor and exuded a murderous aura. Just as she was about to fly onto the super warship, a handsome, tall man suddenly flew over. Luo Shuang, are you going to attack the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground? This tall and arrogant man was the crown prince of the Daluo Empire. Although he looked arrogant, he was also very calm. He was not dressed extravagantly and was only wearing a very ordinary white robe. However, his aura was very noble. Crown Prince, this is my business, Luo Shuang said coldly. No matter what, you are still my sister. Although we haven't seen each other often, I still see you as family. The Daluo Crown Prince smiled openly and said gently, if you go just like that, you will definitely be at a disadvantage. Do you know why the Phoenix Queen suddenly became so fierce? You should know that she was jumping up and down anxiously before this. You have spies in the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground? I said that this is my territory. What right do you have to spy on the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground? Luo Shuang said angrily. Before the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground is completely conquered, it doesn't belong to you. Of course I can spy on it. The Daluo Crown Prince smiled. Although the information I have is very limited, I can be sure that the Vermilion Bird race and the Phoenix Kingdom received Qin Yun's secret help to find the warriors you planted. Luo Shuang said coldly, I'm not stupid. If you can think of it, I can naturally think of it too. Did you come here to warn me out of goodwill? Sister, I'm afraid that you will be at a disadvantage. Qin Yun is really not easy to deal with. You will definitely lose this time. The Daluo Crown Prince sighed. I have fought with Qin Yun a few times. To be honest, I did not gain any advantage. I don't believe that someone like you would think for me. Luo Shuang seemed to have calmed down a little. She understood the Daluo Crown Prince, Xian Qingning, and Hualing. They had not gained any advantage against Qin Yun. Now, Luo Shuang had suffered a great loss. We have a common enemy. Even if we are competitors, if there is a common interest, why can't we work together? The Daluo Crown Prince smiled. Sister, I have a plan. Although I can't guarantee that you can take down the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground, there's no harm in listening. After all, the final decision is in your hands. Luo Shuang also knew that the Daluo Crown Prince was a wily old fox. She did not have much experience in dealing with Qin Yun. She understood the Phoenix Queen and was not afraid of the Vermilion Bird race. However, she did not know much about Qin Yun. Even if she knew Qin Yun very well, she did not know how terrifying he was without fighting him. Speak, Luo Shuang said. Be it the Wang Tiange or the Daluo Empire, the support they can provide you is very limited. Previously, when you attacked the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground, you used up a lot of troops and resources. However, you still suffered heavy losses in the end. Under such circumstances, how much support do you think the Wang Tiange and the Empire will give you? With that said, the Daluo Crown Prince looked up at the supercruiser in the sky. Continue. Luo Shuang also understood that she had brought fewer troops to attack the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground than before. There are many generals in the Empire who are unconvinced by you. Why don't you show weakness and let them fight first? That way, you can probe and exhaust the strength of the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground. At the same time, you can see if Qin Yun is really in the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground. If Qin Yun is really inside, I guarantee that those generals will not be able to attack. However, you were able to fight your way in. With this comparison, it proves that you are more brilliant than those old generals," said the Daluo Crown Prince. "If they suffer heavy losses, the losses are the Empire's troops," said Luo Shuang with a frown. "The Empire's military strength is beyond your imagination. Our celestial Archfather has built up a strong foundation over the years. I have yet to fully investigate it," said the Daluo Crown Prince softly. Chapter 3254. Luo Shuang immediately understood the Crown Prince's intentions. He wanted to use this opportunity to get the Celestial Emperor's most powerful generals to personally test whether Qin Yun was in the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. If Qin Yun was there, these generals would definitely not be able to breach the Vermilion Bird treasure ground's defenses. They would even suffer losses in the end. Our father, the Celestial Emperor, sometimes trusts these loyal subordinates who are not related to him by blood. Furthermore, in his eyes, we are not even comparable to his 4 kings and 10 generals. The Crown Prince of Daluo sighed. The 4 kings and 10 generals are indeed powerful. We only have a good background, but we are inferior to them in all aspects. If we want them to acknowledge us, we need to demonstrate great power," Luo Shuang said. The Crown Prince shook his head and whispered, "If father suddenly passes away, do you think we can control the 4 kings and 10 generals? Even if we have the support of the Imperial Heaven Pavilion and Hall of Supremacy, the 4 kings and 10 generals will not acknowledge us. Do you know why?" "Why?" Luo Shuang asked. She did not understand these matters. "Because the 4 kings and 10 generals can destroy the Imperial Heaven Pavilion and Hall of Supremacy together. Our father, the Celestial Emperor, has such a strong foundation. Although the troops he has given us seem to be very strong, they are not his regular army." The Crown Prince sighed. "But the Imperial Heaven Pavilion and Hall of Supremacy have given us the most elite troops." Luo Shuang was shocked. In her opinion, any one of the Grand Prime forces from the Supreme Hall or the Imperial Heaven Pavilion should have been able to fend off the Daluo Empire. However, even when 2 Grand Prime forces worked together, they were still not the opponent of the 4 kings and 10 generals? "Only father can control the 4 kings and 10 generals. I heard that the 4 kings and 10 generals signed a soul contract with father to be eternally loyal to him," the Crown Prince said. "Therefore, if we want to gain control of the 4 kings and 10 generals, we need to gain father's recognition. Otherwise, we will have to weaken the 4 kings and 10 generals, or it will be disadvantageous to us in the future." Luo Shuang said coldly, "Father is not dead yet and you are already thinking about this? Have you gone crazy thinking about becoming the Celestial Emperor? I just do not wish for the entire Daluo Empire to fall into the hands of others. Even if you become the Celestial Emperor, I will feel much better." The Crown Prince said, "Brother Crown Prince, you said that Qin Yun is our common enemy, and you want to join forces with me against him. Yet, you are not giving me any military support. You are only using words." Luo Shuang snorted. "Father doesn't want to see us join forces." Previously, he supported Luo Shu to keep me in check. Now that Luo Shu has fallen, he sent you to keep me in check. If we join forces, you'll soon fall. I'm doing this for your own good." The Crown Prince of Origin Luo said. "How strange. Why did father only use his daughter to fight against you, the Crown Prince, and not support the other princes?" Luo Shuang mocked. "Crown Prince brother, aren't you thinking too much?" He was also hinting to Luo Shuang that not only did the Celestial Emperor want her to keep the Crown Prince in check, but he also wanted the Wang Tiange behind her to keep the Hall of Paragon in check. "I don't care what my father's motives are. He told me that I have a share in the Daluo Empire, so I must fight for it. You really do not plan on sending troops to help me now?" "It is not that I do not want to, but I dare not." The Crown Prince sighed. It does not matter if you listen to my suggestion or not. I will not be the one to lose anyway. I wish you success." The Crown Prince left after saying that. Luo Shuang had been thinking about whether she should take a step back and not rush to attack the vermilion bird treasured ground. There must have been external help for so many of her soldiers to appear in the vermilion bird treasured ground. No one knew what was going on inside. It was not wise to rush in and start a war. After some thought, she decided to do as the Crown Prince said, and send one of the 4 kings and 10 generals to attack the vermilion bird treasured ground. She wanted to see if the 4 kings and 10 generals were as powerful as the rumors said. With Luo Shuang's status, she naturally could not summon the 4 kings and 10 generals. She could not even summon the subordinates of the 4 kings and 10 generals. She contacted the Celestial Emperor and said that she did not have enough troops. Phoenix Queen's provocation was equivalent to provoking the Empire. She hoped that the Empire would send an army to flatten the vermilion bird treasured ground. The Celestial Emperor agreed immediately. He would send a general to lead the army to the vermilion bird treasured ground. Qin Yun was in the Phoenix Queen's residence in Phoenix City. He released the 9 Suns sky-raising pagoda and quietly refined the Divine Sun nuclear bomb. Suddenly, a voice came from outside. "Divine King, I have urgent news." Qin Yun was surprised that Luo Yaya had come. Luo Shu was no longer a princess and had left the empire. However, her shadow pavilion was very good at gathering intelligence. It was said that she still had many spies in the empire. "Come in." Qin Yun opened the 9 Suns sky-raising pagoda and let Luo Yaya in. Phoenix Queen was beside him. Luo Yaya had let her in. "Where is Lady Luo Shu?" Qin Yun asked. He was still controlling the pill-melting heavenly furnace to refine the Divine Sun nuclear bomb. "She is cultivating in Nirvana City. I just received news that the Empire has sent one of the 4 kings and 10 generals to attack the vermilion bird treasured ground." 4 kings and 10 generals? Qin Yun asked doubtfully. "Are they very strong?" Luo Yaya looked at Phoenix Queen. As a queen, she knew the strength of the 4 kings and 10 generals best. "Very strong. The Celestial Emperor controls the strongest military force. They are still very mysterious. They fight the strongest barbarian tribes all year round and have entered the barbarian universe many times." Phoenix Queen said solemnly. Luo Shuang did not come personally. Instead, she sent the Celestial Emperor to mobilize the Empire's divine army. "A general? Is it his main body or an avatar?" Qin Yun asked. He had no idea about the power of the 4 kings and 10 generals. "According to the information I have, the weakest general among the 4 kings and 10 generals had enough military force to deal with our kingdom back in the day." Phoenix Queen said, "Your Excellency, we should focus on defense. There is no need to counterattack." If it was just defense, Qin Yun was very confident. But with his character, he wanted to test the strength of the Empire's divine army. They might not necessarily mobilize their strongest military force. Luo Yaya said, "If we counterattack and cause them to suffer losses, they will use their strongest power. Yaya, continue gathering information. I want to counterattack before they reach the vermilion bird treasured ground. I can't just sit and wait for death," Qin Yun said. Chapter 3255. Hearing that Qin Yun wanted to take the initiative to attack, Luo Yaya and Phoenix Queen were very shocked. This time, the opponent was not the Crown Prince, nor was it juniors like Luo Shu and Xian Qingning, but one of the 4 kings and 10 generals. Even the weakest one was very powerful. "Your Excellency, this time you are facing the 4 kings and 10 generals. The Empire will not easily dispatch them. They are very difficult to deal with. I don't recommend you to do this." Phoenix Queen said, "Of course, if you really want to attack, my Phoenix Kingdom will do its best to help." "Divine King, please make a careful decision." Luo Yaya also advised. The 4 kings and 10 generals are very strong, I will not look down on them. However, they will definitely look down on me. Even if they already know that I am very strong and have a killing weapon that can destroy a supergiant ship, they will still not put me in their eyes. This way I can catch them off guard. Since they look down on me and this is the Empire's powerful and mysterious army, they will definitely not bring many troops for their first attack. Qin Yun already had a plan. That's right, the Empire's divine army is indeed very arrogant. However, once they go out to battle, they will become very serious and will definitely not let down their guard. This is their military style. Phoenix Queen said, no matter how arrogant they are, once they enter the battlefield, they will go all out and use their strongest power to fight. I know. As long as one fights with barbarians often, they will hone this kind of spirit. Qin Yun nodded and said, the heaven-opening race that returned from the barbarian universe is like this. Your Excellency God King, do you have any good plans? The Phoenix Queen asked. In her opinion, defense was the most stable thing right now. This is the first time this general is attacking the Vermilion Bird treasured land. He will definitely not use a supergiant ship. Qin Yun closed his eyes and thought for a moment. A truly proud and powerful person will definitely use the least amount of troops to win the most difficult victory. Then what will they do? Luo Yaya asked. Phoenix Queen was also very curious because she had only heard that the Empire's divine army was very strong, but she had never seen it before. The reason why the army of the 4 kings and 10 generals is so strong is definitely not just because they have a large number of powerful warriors. Therefore, their strategy is likely to be to think of a way to infiltrate the Vermilion Bird treasured land and send an elite team to directly capture the Phoenix Queen and the Vermilion Bird Patriarch. Qin Yun said, it's very likely that the general's true body will personally lead a team here. The Phoenix Queen's complexion changed. If one of the 4 kings and 10 generals were to successfully sneak into the Vermilion Bird treasured ground, it would indeed pose a great threat to her. In Qin Yun's opinion, Xian Qingning, Luo Shuang, and Crown Prince Huoling had mobilized their armies to attack the enemy's strongest base. Even if they won on the opponent's home ground, it would be a difficult victory. The best way to take down a treasure land was to take down the master of the treasure land. Previously, when Supreme Palace went to the Human Snake treasure land, they used this method and it was very successful. However, because of Qin Yun's interference, their plan failed. Of course, the main target of the general they sent is me. There's no way the great Luo Empire wouldn't know about such a major event happening in the heart of the moon. Qin Yun said, now that I've entered the 9 Sun sacred ground, I've crossed their bottom line. That's why the great Luo Celestial Emperor sent his subordinate. Previously, when the 4 empires fought with Qin Yun, they weren't too serious, mainly because Qin Yun hadn't entered the 9 Sun sacred ground. If a godly king like Qin Yun kept moving around outside the 9 Sun sacred ground, the 4 empires and the Taisher factions could still tolerate it. At most, they would send some young people to cause trouble for Qin Yun and train them. Now that Qin Yun had entered the 9 Sun sacred ground and helped the Vermilion Bird treasured ground turn the tide, the empires had to pay attention to him. They had to send a signal to the outside world to tell the entire divine wilderness that the 9 Sun sacred ground didn't welcome a godly king like Qin Yun. A dignified godly king of the divine wilderness couldn't enter the core sacred ground of the divine wilderness. This would indeed greatly damage Qin Yun's prestige. Your Excellency, since we are allies, I hope you can tell me your plan. I'm really worried about you. Phoenix Queen could only agree with Qin Yun's actions. She didn't want Qin Yun to take risk. It could be said that Qin Yun was the order of the divine wilderness. As long as they, as allies, protected Qin Yun, he would be able to control the order of the divine wilderness through the myriad realms' divine sons. When that happened, the entire divine wilderness would be free from the control of evil forces and usher in true prosperity. There's no need for too many schemes to deal with a true expert. Qin Yun said, "The 4 kings and 10 generals under the great Luo Celestial Emperor are definitely capable people who are brave and smart. In that case, I'll set it up and directly challenge that general. I'll fight with him and determine the outcome." Phoenix Queen and Luo Yaya looked at each other in shock. Qin Yun actually wanted to fight with that general? They all knew that Qin Yun was very strong. Firstly, Qin Yun had all kinds of equipment and tools. Secondly, Qin Yun had a powerful divine beast like the 9 heavens vermilion bird. Therefore, his overall strength was very terrifying. If he fought with his own strength, it would be very hard to say. After all, he was only in the 8th level of the divine space realm. "I can defeat the general of the great Luo Empire," Qin Yun said. "You can't." Phoenix Queen shook her head. "The 4 kings and 10 generals' individual combat strength is extremely strong. Especially now they have already become new humans. Their improvement in all aspects is even greater. Queen, I'll leave the matter of issuing the challenge to you." Qin Yun smiled and said, "I still have things to do now. If there's any situation, you can come and tell me." "Alright, now that things have come to this, I can only trust you." Phoenix Queen sighed. "Yaya, pay attention to the movements of the great Luo Empire. Pay attention to their army. In my estimation, they shouldn't use their army, but we still have to be on guard." Qin Yun said. "Yes." Luo Yaya nodded. After Phoenix Queen and Luo Yaya left, Qin Yun continued to refine the Divine Sun nuclear bomb. This was not to be used to fight the great Luo Empire's divine army, but to deal with Luo Shuang. Even if Luo Shuang didn't come, he would find Luo Shuang and blast her a few times. He would let her know why flowers were so red. Phoenix Queen had just issued the challenge on the magic mirror, and the general of the great Luo Empire immediately responded. He was willing to fight with Qin Yun and gave him 7 days to prepare. What frightened her was that the general of the great Luo Empire was actually near the Vermilion Bird treasure ground, and they didn't even notice him. This meant that the general only brought a few people and was really preparing to sneak into the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. This was just as Qin Yun had guessed. The general of the great Luo Empire moved very quickly and quietly. Even the Crown Prince and Luo Shuang didn't know about the general's actions. They thought that the general would send out a large army to crush them. Mobile users, please visit Chapter 3256. When Qin Yun learned that the other party had given him 7 days, he felt that something was amiss. From the looks of it, there was plenty of time for the other party to make a lot of preparations. When the time came, the battle would definitely take place outside of the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. If there were many people from the great Luo Empire and Wang Tiange lying in ambush, they would pose a great threat to Qin Yun. However, Qin Yun believed that a powerful and arrogant general would disdain to do such a thing. So why did he give him 7 days? If this general is very cunning, then agreeing to the challenge is equivalent to setting up a trap. So I have to be prepared for this. Even if he has a trap, I'm not afraid of him. If that's not the case, then he must have some other purpose for giving me 7 days. Qin Yun pondered over this matter in the 9 Suns heaven-raising pagoda. However, the other party had also said that the battlefield would be set up by Qin Yun. Therefore, even if the other party had set up any traps in advance, Qin Yun would have countermeasures. Qin Yun has already decided to use the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation to set up a battlefield. By borrowing the power of the 4 divine suns, he can make the barrier even stronger. It will be impossible to attack from the outside. At that time, the All Heavens Dragon tribe would be lying in ambush nearby, and the Vermilion Bird tribe and the Phoenix Kingdom were also very powerful. Old Brother Taisher, I should be able to grasp the heavenly runes in 7 days, right? Qin Yun asked. It's enough for you to fight. Old Brother Taisher said. Old Brother Taisher has already thoroughly researched all kinds of Yu clan heavenly talismans. Now he wants to fuse them with all kinds of bloodline heavenly runes, as well as runes from the primordial civilization. Heavenly pattern characters were more difficult than those heavenly patterns, but they were more suitable for the God King Heaven Seal. I'll start learning now. Qin Yun took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal and asked Old Brother Taisher to pass the 3 heavenly rune characters to him. In the imperial city of the Daluo Empire, the Crown Prince of Great Luo sneaked to the building where Luo Shuang stayed and waited for her on the rooftop. Luo Shuang also wanted to find the Crown Prince of Daluo to ask about the situation. When she heard that there was someone on the rooftop, she immediately went there. Luo Shuang, father sent General Bing Yang this time. Zenith Luo's Crown Prince said with a frown, General Bing Yang actually wants to fight Qin Yun. How strong is General Bing Yang? Luo Shuang asked. Does he cultivate an ice sun? Yes, his ice sun is very strange. As for his strength, I heard that he's the weakest among the 4 kings and 10 generals, but he once defeated the 3rd-ranked general, but he's still only ranked 10th. Crown Prince de Luo shook his head and said, Why did he agree to fight Qin Yun? Qin Yun is so cunning, he might set up a trap on the battlefield. He even gave Qin Yun 7 days. Is he worried that Qin Yun doesn't have enough time to set up the setup? Luo Shuang scolded. What's wrong with father? Was this the standard of his subordinates? Why doesn't General Bing Yang directly lead the army into the Vermilion Bird treasure ground? In Luo Shuang's opinion, General Bing Yang should have flattened the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. Only then would he be worthy of the reputation of the 4 kings and 10 generals. The Crown Prince said, General Bing Yang should have his own plans. We just have to wait and see. It's best if he wins. If he loses to Qin Yun, then Wang Tiange will help me break through the Vermilion Bird treasure land with all his strength. This will prove that I am stronger than General Bing Yang. When the time comes, the entire Daluo Empire will know that the 4 kings and 10 generals are nothing but an empty title. Luo Shuang said coldly. Even if General Bing Yang loses, he is still one of the 4 kings and 10 generals. Father's generals are all truly capable. The Crown Prince could not figure out what General Bing Yang was planning. The duel between Qin Yun and General Bing Yang naturally attracted the attention of the other empires and Taisher factions. In particular, the other empires wanted to see the strength of the 4 kings and 10 generals of the Daluo Empire. This was also a good opportunity for the other 3 empires to gather intelligence. When Xian Qingning heard the news, she immediately rushed to the Vermilion Bird treasure land. She had suffered at Qin Yun's hands before, so now she wanted to see how strong Qin Yun was. In just a short day, the entire 9-sun sacred ground was stirred up. Qin Yun, a godly monarch, had personally participated in the duel. This was because, according to the current intelligence, he was only at the 8th level of the divine space realm. His strength mainly came from the godly monarch heavenly seal, the bloodline heavenly pattern box, and some of the artifacts given to him by the 9 Yang Dharma spirit. As for his own strength, it was rumored that he was not very strong. Qin Yun also knew that this duel would definitely attract attention. This was what he hoped for, because he wanted to attract the attention of the 9-sun sacred ground with this kind of momentum. He wanted all the factions in the 9-sun sacred ground to know how powerful he, a godly monarch, was. Luo Shu and Phoenix Queen were outside the 9-sun sky-raising pagoda. His thoughts are really hard to guess. Although General Bing Yang is the weakest among the 4 kings and 10 generals, this is only because he has the weakest military strength. His own strength is not weak, Luo Shu said. Luo Shu said. When she heard the news, she immediately rushed over. Why did General Bing Yang give 7 days? Isn't this too much time? Phoenix Queen said. Luo Shu, How much do you know about General Bingyang? I only know that he is very honest. This is what my father told me. He gave Your Excellency 7 days, so he shouldn't have too many other intentions. Instead, it means that he is very serious about this duel. Luo Shu appeared very worried. I hope that Your Excellency can make sufficient preparations. Time passed very quickly. There was only 1 day left before the duel. Outside the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land, all kinds of large flying ships were floating. They all came from various factions. This made the Vermilion Bird Patriarch and Phoenix Queen even more worried. Because even if Qin Yun won, he might be besieged by many factions. Fortunately, the Dragon Turtle tribe of the All Heavens dragon race had dispatched a large number of experts to protect Qin Yun. Qin Yun also came out of the Nine Suns Sky-Raising Pagoda today and quietly left the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land. He released 9 huge dragon altars outside and set up the 9-dragon Heavenly Origin formation. He was not afraid of those flying ships at all. In his eyes, those things were like paper. After the 9-dragon Heavenly Origin formation was set up, it immediately attracted the attention of many people. They knew that this was the battlefield that Qin Yun had set up. In the past few days, other than mastering the 3 important heavenly rune characters, Qin Yun had also made other preparations. He had refined 30 divine sun nuclear bombs, and the main purpose was to deal with Luo Shuang. He knew that Luo Shuang would definitely come, and she would hide in the deep sky with a super-huge ship. Once General Bingyang lost, Luo Shuang would excitedly attack the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land. This way, it would show that she was stronger than General Bingyang. Nine Sun Sacred Land is really a good place. Qin Yun stood in the middle of the 9-dragon Heavenly Origin formation and looked at the myriad realms divine Sunday inside the Sacred Land. He could feel even more divine sun energy. His duel with General Bingyang was to let the factions inside the Sacred Land know that he, Qin Yun, would one day control the entire Sacred Land. Chapter 3257. The empires and Taisha forces within the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, as well as many kingdoms, were gradually transforming their bloodlines and producing more and more new beginning humans. The magic mirror was under their control. After they announced the news on the magic mirror, the divine wilderness quickly learned of it. This caused great panic among the races outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. No one had a rough understanding of how strong the new beginning humans were. Now, Qin Yun, the divine king of the divine wilderness, was recognized as the strongest person outside the sacred ground. He challenged General Bingyang, one of the 4 kings and 10 generals of the Daluo Empire, who was also a new beginning humans. If Qin Yun lost, it would be a great blow to everyone outside the sacred ground. It would make them fear the new beginning humans from the bottom of their hearts. The reason why General Bingyang accepted the challenge was to defeat Qin Yun, the Divine King, in public and completely shatter the legend of the Divine King of the Divine Wilderness. It could be said that Qin Yun, the Divine King, was the hope of all the powerful races outside the sacred ground. As long as Qin Yun was alive, the Divine Wilderness had hope of breaking free from the rule of the empires and Taisha forces. The 4 empires and many Taisha forces had previously pressured everyone to the point of suffocation. Now that they had transformed into new beginning humans, a universe god race had appeared. Without Qin Yun, everyone would be in complete despair. Therefore, this battle could be said to be a battle of hope. Qin Yun wanted to give hope to the powerful races outside the sacred ground. Otherwise, once they lost hope, they might act recklessly outside the sacred ground or even lose their fighting spirit. The powerful races outside the sacred ground were regarded as trial targets by the major forces inside the sacred ground. They were used as training tools. Relying on their powerful strength, they wantonly slaughtered the races outside the sacred ground. This was completely out of order. 7 days had passed. Qin Yun was already waiting for General Bingyang in the 9 Dragons Heavenly Origin formation. The 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation covered a large area, covering a radius of tens of thousands of meters. This battlefield was not small. At noon, General Bingyang arrived. General Bingyang looked very young. He was a tall and thin man with hair that reached his shoulders. He wore a white robe, and his handsome face was filled with coldness. His eyes flickered with white light from time to time, and his body had a very strange cold aura. When he descended from the sky, the people outside the battlefield were in an uproar. Because very few people had seen the 4 kings and 10 generals, General Bingyang looked completely different from what they had imagined. Furthermore, General Bingyang wasn't wearing any battle armor. Qin Yun's attire is also very ordinary. He is wearing a blue inscription master robe. His skin is slightly dark and his face is masculine and handsome. In comparison, he looks a bit older than General Bingyang. This battle is very important to the Luo Empire. Moreover, the Luo Empire believes that they will definitely win. Therefore, they will broadcast the battle live on the magic mirror. This way, more people will be able to witness the Luo Empire's general defeating Qin Yun, God King. At the same time, it would also let the powerful races outside the 9 Sun sacred ground see how the godly king they revered would be defeated. It would let them know how vulnerable the strongest cultivators outside the sacred ground were in front of the empire's general. After General Bingyang arrived, he closed his eyes and did not say a word. He also did not say that he wanted to start a war. He didn't even look at Qin Yun seriously. He took out the magic mirror and seemed to be contacting someone. Qin Yun is also very quiet at that moment. He also took out the divine mirror of primordial beginning to probe General Bingyang's strength. However, the divine mirror of primordial beginning could not detect anything. Luo Shuang and De Luo's crown prince also arrived. They are very close to each other, floating in the air above the battlefield enveloped by the 9-dragon heavenly origin array. Luo Shuang, General Bingyang will definitely win this battle. De Luo's crown prince said, according to the latest information I have, General Bingyang will be conferred the title of our De Luo Empire's 5th king. In any case, I am prepared for General Bingyang to lose. Once he loses, I will immediately attack the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. Wang Tiange will help me attack. According to Wang Tiange's information, Qin Yun is rather strange. He won't be that easy to defeat. Luo Shuang still hoped that General Bingyang would lose. That way she can show off her skills. She naturally knew that the 4 kings and 10 generals were very arrogant and looked down on the children of a celestial Dharch. Therefore, she wanted to prove it to them. If General Bingyang loses, then the 4 empires' celestial thearchs will re-evaluate Qin Yun's strength. When that time comes, dealing with Qin Yun will no longer be a matter of you or me. Instead, it will be the empire's powerful forces that will attack. De Luo's crown prince said. Regardless of whether Qin Yun wins today, his outcome will be the same. Humph! Luo Shuang snorted in dissatisfaction. She still wanted to defeat Qin Yun's alliance. Because she knew that Qin Yun was helping Luo Shu, which brought her a lot of threat. Phoenix Queen is also leading a group of powerful warriors to support Qin Yun. She looked around and thought, Yu Shangyun actually didn't come. Her man is fighting with someone else, she should be there. She immediately used the spatial sound transmission formation that Qin Yun gave her to contact Yu Shangyun and told her about this matter. Yu Shangyun, who is in the divine moon of the heavens, already knew about this matter. She gave Phoenix Queen a very certain reply. He will win, I don't need to go. General Bingyang suddenly opened his eyes and put away his magic mirror. He said to Qin Yun, I won't use weapons in this battle, but you can use them. I allow you to use them. He purposely made his voice very loud. Everyone burst into an uproar. The moment General Bingyang opened his mouth, everyone was shocked. Everyone knew that the weapons in Qin Yun's hands are all very powerful. You are really confident. Qin Yun said with a smile. Since that's the case, I won't be polite. He took out the 9-sun divine hammer, put on the sky crown hat and the heaven-trampling divine boot. Then he said, My equipment is not limited to these. Wait for the battle, I'll do my best to let you experience them. Everyone can completely understand Qin Yun. After all, he is facing an expert. If he can take advantage of them, he will not let them go. No matter how strong your equipment is, it's all futile. After General Bing Yang finished speaking, the entire battlefield suddenly became filled with cold air. In the blink of an eye, the ground of the battlefield with a radius of several tens of thousands of meters suddenly turned snow-white and condensed into a thick layer of ice. The most frightening thing is that the cold air emitted by this ice is very cold, and at the same time, it is scorching hot like a flame. It is very strange. At the moment when everyone was shocked, a divine sun that emitted white cold air appeared above General Bing Yang's head. This divine sun is like a giant ball of ice and frost. It suddenly appeared and directly smashed towards Qin Yun. Qin Yun is completely shocked. This Bing Yang is extremely terrifying. Previously, when he was at the Moon Heart, he had faced many experts who cultivated divine Sunday. Among them were even Cosmos God Race people. However, their divine sun did not give Qin Yun any pressure. And this ice sun in front of him has an indescribable strange power. When it enveloped him, the divine cosmos power within Qin Yun's body, even his energy body and imperial heaven heart were frozen. At the same time, he felt a heart-wrenching burning pain. The enormous ice sun landed on the ground and engulfed Qin Yun. Soon after, everyone could see that the layer of ice outside the ice sun gradually became transparent. There is a very small figure inside. It is Qin Yun. Chapter 32:58. The moment General Ice Sun attacked, he instantly subdued Qin Yun and trapped him within the powerful Ice Sunday. Everyone could see that Qin Yun was motionless within the Ice Sun. He was likely frozen and unable to move. Over the past few days, various factions had been frantically trying to gather information on General Ice Sunday. They wanted to know how strong he was and what made him so strong. However, they had only heard that his ice sun was extremely powerful. The strongest expert outside of the 9-sun sacred ground, the godly monarch of the divine wilderness, had been taken down by General Ice Sun the moment the battle began. Wasn't the difference in strength too great? Even the crown prince of Zenith Luo and Luo Shuang, the sons and daughters of the celestial Dharch, found it unbelievable. It was truly terrifying that their celestial Dharch father had more than 10 such powerful people under his command. Although Qin Yun had been instantly sealed within the ice sun, the experts present did not laugh at him in their hearts. That was because if they were in his shoes, they would probably end up the same way. However, most of the experts in the sacred ground were happy to see Qin Yun suffer a setback. Qin Yun was the godly monarch of the divine wilderness. It could be said that he represented the 9 suns' Dharma spirit to maintain order in the divine wilderness. As long as the experts in the sacred ground did not interfere with the interests of other major factions, they could do whatever they wanted in the divine wilderness. Outside the 9-sun sacred ground, they viewed the various races outside as ants that could be killed at will. They enjoyed this feeling of freedom. Dragon Turtle King, should we attack? Long Shu asked. Dragon Turtle King was the former Dragon Turtle clan leader. The Dragon Turtle race was now a tribe of the All Heavens Dragon race, and the clan leader was conferred the title of King of the All Heavens Dragon race. Not for now. The godly monarch's strength is not limited to this. Dragon Turtle King was very calm. Phoenix Queen was very nervous, but she could only maintain her composure on the surface. She was already prepared to have the Phoenix army surround the entire battlefield at any time. Luo Shu also secretly instructed Luo Yeya to instruct the various commanders of Luo Shu's army to prepare for battle. Luo Shuang, your previous preparations were really futile. The Crown Prince of Zenith Luo let out a long sigh. What a pity that we did not get rid of Qin Yun. What a great opportunity it would have been to make a name for ourselves. Wasn't it your idea? Luo Shuang sneered. I still hope that Qin Yun can win. I still can't be sure if Qin Yun is dead or not. As long as I can't be sure, he has a chance of winning. Then, my preparations won't be in vain. The Crown Prince of Daluo could only shake his head. General Bing Yang looked at the figure inside the huge ice sun, his voice cold and emotionless. It was Sky Emperor who made me agree to fight with you. I am also here to capture you in the name of Sky Emperor. Qin Yun, you should now know how insignificant you are in front of the Empire's power, right? Of course, Qin Yun could not answer him because he was sealed in ice. The surface of the ice sun flickered with very profound and complex runes from time to time. It is very clear that the ice sun has been carved with formidable heavenly runes. General Bing Yang's voice suddenly became louder as he shouted, "From today onwards, there will be no more god kings in the divine wilderness." There are no more god kings in the divine wilderness? As a godly monarch, Qin Yun had won many battles against many parties. Even if he lost once and had no choice but to retreat, he still made the other party feel extremely uncomfortable. During this period of time, Qin Yun has become the focal point of the entire Divine Desolate. It is very difficult to not know of his existence. As for the strongest powers of the four empires, they did not make a move. They even intentionally or unintentionally let their juniors fight Qin Yun. They clearly knew that Qin Yun is very strong, but they still let their juniors go. It seems like they want the juniors to lose to Qin Yun. In this way, when the empires make a move, they can show off their hidden formidable strength. At the same time, they want to trample Qin Yun to the ground when Qin Yun's prestige is at its peak. Then the powerful clans that followed Qin Yun in the Divine Wilderness will feel even more despair. They will thoroughly feel the strength of the empires. At this moment, the patriarchs of the powerful clans that came to watch the battle from outside the sacred land all feel despair in their hearts. However, they looked at Qin Yun inside the ice sun and felt extremely unwilling. They followed Qin Yun and acknowledged him as a god king. These days, the Myriad Realms Divine Court has indeed helped these powerful clans resist the powerful enemies in the sacred land. They even gave them a lot of convenience and helped them build teleportation arrays. However, they only needed to pay some Divine Universe Golden Stones to the Myriad Realms Divine Court. Those Divine Universe Golden Stones are nothing to these powerful clans. They regarded Qin Yun as the hope of the Divine Wilderness, but they did nothing. Hundreds of patriarchs clenched their fists tightly at this moment. They suddenly realized that Qin Yun did not help these powerful clans to let them live carefreely. Instead, he helped them to unite their strength and stimulate their hidden strength and courage. Only by working together could they resist the powerful new humans. In front of the Empire, everyone is an ant. General Ice Sun said coldly. Qin Yun, from today onwards, you will become a prisoner of the Daluo Empire. God King, we are with you. Suddenly, one of the patriarchs shouted. Then, hundreds of patriarchs madly released the divine universe power in their bodies. In an instant, a mighty wave of divine universe power enveloped the battlefield. Qin Yun is their hope. He wants to save their hope. Seeing this, Dragon Turtle King's expression changed slightly. Although he is somewhat excited, he also knows that what they are doing is very dangerous. Because there are many powerful clans and Taisher forces in the sacred land near the battlefield. Although there are not many people, it is enough for the patriarchs outside the sacred land. Dragon Emperor, Phoenix Queen, Vermilion Bird Patriarch, White Tiger Patriarch, Exotic Cat King, Nine Dragon King, we can act now. Not to save the God King, but to go to the Patriarch's side. Dragon Turtle King said. Seeing this group of patriarchs from outside the sacred land suddenly show their power, the big shots in the sacred land sneered in their hearts. Their eyes were full of contempt. I, the crown prince of the Hualing Empire, am enough to kill you ants. Why didn't you wait outside for us to find you for training? You came in here obediently to die. Crown Prince Hualing's voice was full of arrogance. Then, hundreds of soldiers rushed over. At this time, Dragon Turtle King, Long Shu, White Tiger Patriarch and other experts also rushed over. The White Tiger Tribe and the Vermilion Bird Tribe are both powerful clans in the Sacred Land. Their power is very terrifying. Just by going over, the hundreds of soldiers of the Hualing Empire had to disperse and retreat. The battle between the God King and General Ice Sun is not over yet. Dragon Turtle King said loudly. Wait until General Ice Sun completely defeats the God King. It is not too late for you to make a decision. Outside the battlefield, it suddenly became quiet. Yes, the battle is not over yet. Crown Prince Hualing, I was originally the patriarch of the Dragon Turtle Tribe outside the Sacred Land. Now, I am the Dragon Turtle King of the All Heavens Dragon Tribe. When the battle between the God King and General Ice Sun is over, please stay. When Dragon Turtle King said this, a faint smile suddenly appeared on his kind old face. The little dragon turtles of my Dragon Turtle Tribe have metamorphosed in Nirvana City. I want to find you for training. Please give me some face and don't run away later. Chapter 3259. The latest chapter of the Nine Sun Divine King. The dragon race was the strongest race outside the Holy Land and the Dragon Turtle Tribe was the king of the dragon race. The Dragon Turtle King naturally had to stand up for Crown Prince Hualing when he looked down on the strong races outside the Holy Land. Since Crown Prince Hualing had looked down on the strong races outside the Holy Land, the Dragon Turtle King naturally had to step forward. Previously, it had always been the forces inside the Holy Land who used the Holy Land as a training ground. But now, the Dragon Turtle King wanted to use them to practice. This was a very strong provocation. Wait until your divine king survives. Crown Prince Hualing sneered. Qin Yun will be finished soon. Let's see how you will jump then. Crown Prince Hualing also hated Qin Yun very much. He had an avatar who went to find Qin Yun and was later killed miserably. Although it was Phoenix Queen who did it, he still vented his anger on Qin Yun. General Bing Yang was not disturbed by the outside. He was still very focused on dealing with Qin Yun. Everyone just saw him standing there without exerting much strength. In fact, he was constantly strengthening the power of the Ice Sun. Only General Bing Yang could feel that Qin Yun was exerting his strength. Qin Yun was not completely frozen by the Ice Sun at once, which surprised General Bing Yang. He thought that he would be able to take down Qin Yun soon. But now, if he could not completely freeze Qin Yun, he might be able to break out. Qin Yun, who was inside the Ice Sun, was still in a very good state. He was continuing to strengthen his flame. The ice inside the Ice Sun also needed a very special flame to restrain it. After all, this ice was condensed from the Divine Sun. Ordinary flames could not melt it. This ice was not afraid of heat. Qin Yun had tried before, but the flame of the Nether Sun was not enough. He needed the Nether Sun to fuse with the white Divine Sun fire. After the black and white flames fused, they were translucent and could not be seen from the outside. Only General Bing Yang could feel that the ice inside his Divine Sun was melting. Even if he kept strengthening the power of the Ice Sun, Qin Yun could still melt it. At this moment, the two sides were secretly competing and entered a battle of consumption. This was something that outsiders could not see. Qin Yun was not afraid of consumption. He could absorb the Divine Universe Golden Stone through the Divine King Heavenly Seal to replenish his Divine Universe power or draw out the Divine Sun power of the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. One had to know that Qin Yun had amassed nearly 20 trillion Divine Universe Goldstones. Although a large portion of it was going to be used to establish the Myriad Worlds Divine Court, he could still use it if he needed it urgently. Qin Yun, That fellow should have 2 ice suns. He is only releasing the weakest one now. Old Brother Teicher said, 2 ice suns? They have 2 divine suns in their bodies? Qin Yun was alarmed. My guess is that after they introduced the barbarian bloodline, their bodies evolved, and 2 divine universes appeared in their bodies. These empire generals have a lot of resources, so they can cultivate the second divine sun in the first place. Old Brother Teicher said, however, they are extremely weak. At most, he can only cultivate 2 or 3 divine suns. Qin Yun has the 9-sun divine spirit. In theory, he can cultivate 9 super divine suns. The human body had its limit. It was unable to accommodate a large divine sun, so one could only cultivate this kind of small divine Sunday. But Qin Yun is different. He has a very complicated heart of imperial heaven. Together with the divine king heavenly seal, he can fuse an energy body into his body. The energy body is the evolved form of the super-large Nether Sunday. It is very terrifying. In the future, if Qin Yun wants to release the power of the energy body, he can only use external force. For example, through the 9-sun divine spirit or the divine king heavenly seal. If he released too much energy through his body wouldn't be able to withstand it. This guy has 2 ice suns. I will slowly exhaust him, and let him release the second ice sun. Once I consume the power of his 2 divine suns, he can only let me beat him flat. Qin Yun releasing flames to melt the ice sun's ice is only on the surface. At the same time, he is secretly mobilizing the 9-sun divine spirit Nether Sun Pearls Nether Sun to devour the ice sun's power. With Qin Yun's own Nether Sun, it is indeed unable to devour General Ice Sun's divine universe power because the disparity is too great. However, the 9-sun divine spirit's Nether Sun is different. It is an authentic Nether Sun and it has already been raised by Qin Yun. General Ice Sun was very calm before, but now he sensed something strange. He can't help but be secretly alarmed because Qin Yun's upper limit of divine universe power has already exceeded his estimation. After all, Qin Yun is only at the 8th level of the divine space realm. Qin Yun guessed that General Ice Sun's upper limit of divine universe power is around 700,000 to 800,000. After all, he has 2 ice suns and the divine universe power is stored inside the divine sun. Moreover, when he releases the divine sun, his recovery speed is even faster. Even if his recovery speed is very fast, it can't keep up with the consumption, because Qin Yun has melted and devoured too much divine universe power. General Ice Sun can only continue to exhaust Qin Yun's divine universe power. Qin Yun has the 9-sun divine spirit, imperial heaven heart and energy body. He also has the divine king heavenly seal. Dealing with an expert of General Ice Sun's level is not a problem. Of course, if he were to face 2 people of this level at the same time, he would not be their match. At this moment, the spectators burst into an uproar, because inside the huge and transparent ice sun, the small figure moved. Qin Yun can move, it means that he is not completely sealed in ice. The ice sun is now becoming bigger and bigger. From afar, Qin Yun looks like a black dot inside the ice sun. If one doesn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see him. General Ice Sun is feeling more and more strenuous. However, he still believes that Qin Yun's divine universe power will definitely be exhausted. He is betting everything to capture Qin Yun. After all, he said a lot of arrogant words before. He said that there are no more divine kings in the divine desolate and even said that he would capture Qin Yun. If he can't do it, even if he wins this battle, it would be a loss of face for him. Qin Yun is now sure that in the divine desolate, his individual combat strength is very strong. Very few people can match him. Only the heavenly emperors of the 4 great empires, or the clan emperors of the cosmos god race, or the strongest new humans of the barbarian race camp, can pose a threat to him. Qin Yun is confident that he can defeat General Ice Sun in front of him. Those with good eyesight can see that the black dot inside the Ice Sun floating in the air is falling down bit by bit. Qin Yun's entire body released the flames formed by the fusion of Nether Sun and White Sun, quickly melting the ice around him. This will allow him to fall down and escape from the Ice Sun. General Ice Sun's expression is grave. He said coldly, "Qin Yun, you are destined to be the loser today." As his voice fell, a strong light suddenly flashed. A threatening cold air penetrated through the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation. The entire battlefield is covered in ice and frost. In the blink of an eye, another huge Ice Sun appeared. Double Ice Sun. Everyone is immediately alarmed. It is already very rare to cultivate one divine sun, but this General Ice Sun actually has two. What is even more frightening is that the two Ice Suns suddenly fuse together. Qin Yun, who was still falling down, is now sealed in ice again. He is unable to continue melting the ice around him. Qin Yun is not surprised at all because he already knew that the other party has two Ice Suns. This is exactly what I want. Only by defeating you in this situation can I prove that I am stronger than you. Qin Yun is secretly delighted. Chapter 3260. The moment the two Ice Suns fused, the terrifying ice-cold divine universe power broke through the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation and rushed outside, causing the barrier of the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land to be covered in frost for several li. The most frightening thing is that although it is very cold, after the coldness seeped into the bones, there was a very strange burning feeling, as if the soul was being burned. Even though they were so far away from the battlefield, everyone was affected by the aura of the Ice Suns and felt uncomfortable cold, let alone getting close. Qin Yun was sealed in the center of the Ice Suns, but he did not die. He could still move. His endurance shocked everyone present. Most of the people who came to watch the battle were big shot. Their cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the Divine Space Realm. They knew very well how terrifying General Bingyang was, but they were even more shocked by Qin Yun's strength. To be able to survive after being sealed in the center of the Ice Suns, just based on this point, it was not something they could compare with. All the experts present felt that if they were sealed in the center of the Ice Suns, even if they did not die, they would only be able to live on. In fact, the situation in the center of the Ice Suns was more frightening than everyone imagined. Because not only was there a powerful divine universe power attacking from all directions, there was also a wave of mental power attacking Qin Yun's soul. Fortunately, Qin Yun was wearing the sky hat. The mental power attacking him was dispersed and swallowed by the sky hat. It did not affect him at all. General Bingyang was not only consuming the power of the Ice Suns, he had also consumed a lot of mental power. At this point, he had no choice but to secretly use energy storage equipment to replenish his consumption. He already had a sense of crisis. He felt that if he consumed too much energy it would be very dangerous. Qin Yun would launch a fierce attack on him. This was a kind of intuition that came from his instinct, and it was also because of this intuition that he could live for so long. Therefore, he had to ensure that he had enough energy at all times. Only in this way could he deal with everything in the most dangerous moment. This guy is secretly replenishing his consumption. It seems that he has already sensed danger. Qin Yun said in his heart, "It will be difficult to kill him here, but defeating him should not be a problem." Crown Prince of Great Luo suddenly said from afar, "General Bingyang, Qin Yun cultivates the Nether Sun. He might be devouring the energy of your Ice Sun right now." He was reminding General Bingyang and expressing goodwill to him in order to gain the favor of these generals. "You don't have to tell me, I already know." General Bingyang replied coldly. He was secretly enraged because the Crown Prince of Great Luo could tell that he was in a precarious situation. As a proud person, He would never allow himself to be defeated by Qin Yun, much less in front of the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo. This was because he had always looked down on the Crown Prince of Origin Luo and any of the Origin Luo Celestial Emperor's children. It wasn't just him. The 4 kings and 10 generals were the same. So what if Qin Yun has nether son? His nether son is too weak, while General Bingyang has 2 ice sons. One of the ice sons was cultivated a long time ago and accompanied General Bingyang for many years. An old man from Supreme Palace said. Crown Prince of Great Luo only shook his head. Previously, he was rather confident in General Bingyang. But now, he realized that Qin Yun was not that easy to kill. I have something urgent to attend to. I'll be leaving first. The Crown Prince of Origin Luo said to Luo Shuang, Are you coming? I'm not leaving. Luo Shuang snorted. Are you afraid that Qin Yun will kill you if he wins? Of course not. I'm going back to cultivate. In this day and age, if I don't cultivate a powerful little divine son in my body, I won't be able to survive. The Crown Prince of Origin Luo sighed. My little divine son is too weak. I'm going back to cultivate. The Crown Prince of Origin Luo was truly afraid of being killed by Qin Yun. From the moment General Bingyang released the second ice sun, he began to feel uneasy. Qin Yun hated him very much because he had once spoken disrespectfully to Xiao Yuelan and the other 9 sons' divine ladies. Once his true body fell into Qin Yun's hands, he would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. Therefore, he decided to flee. Before leaving, the Crown Prince of Origin Luo glanced at Crown Prince Huoling from afar. He felt that this was the last time he would see Crown Prince Huoling. This time, Crown Prince Huoling had come personally. If he was killed, there would be no turning back. Qin Yun did not hear the Crown Prince's voice when he was in the ice sun. However, he knew that the Crown Prince would come. He did not expect to be able to kill the Crown Prince of Origin Luo this time. He originally planned to wait until he was strong enough to enter the Imperial City of Origin Luo and kill the Crown Prince of Origin Luo in the Imperial City. Then, he would cause great damage to the Imperial City. Only then would he be able to shake the entire 9-sun sacred ground. After fighting with General Bingyang, Qin Yun roughly knew the strength of the top experts in the Origin Luo Empire. This gave him greater confidence in assassinating the Crown Prince of Origin Luo in the future. General Bingyang also knew a lot about Qin Yun. Even though he was very arrogant, when facing an enemy, he would deal with them very seriously. Therefore, he had previously gathered a lot of information about Qin Yun. He knew that Qin Yun had a nether Sunday. However, he believed that Qin Yun's nether sun could not devour the power released by his ice Sunday. He had tested this before and found a relatively larger nether sun to practice. However, now that he was in this situation, he knew that he did not know enough about Qin Yun. However, not long after, the divine power that General Bingyang had just replenished was greatly depleted. If this continued, he would only be completely depleted and could only retreat in defeat. Everyone saw the small black dot in the huge ice sun move again. Qin Yun began to fall again. The double ice sun was unable to trap Qin Yun. General Bingyang's expression became incomparably grave. He suddenly let out a loud shout and unexpectedly withdrew the ice sun. Qin Yun felt somewhat disappointed in his heart. He still planned to continue devouring the ice sun. This way, he could easily defeat General Bingyang. General Bingyang is not stupid. He already understood Qin Yun's intention. If this continued, he would really lose. It would be better to conserve his strength and directly fight Qin Yun. Seeing the double ice sun being withdrawn and Qin Yun appearing safe and sound, everyone is secretly shocked. Being sealed in the center by such a powerful double ice sun and all kinds of attacks, it is as if he is completely fine. Most of the people outside the sacred land who were watching the battle with the magic mirror cheered at this moment. Their divine king is fine, he is still fine. On the contrary, General Bing Yang no longer has that kind of arrogant majesty from before. Release your nether son. General Bing Yang coldly shouted. He wanted to personally see how strong Qin Yun's nether son is. I don't need to release my nether son to fight you, Qin Yun indifferently said. However, when everyone heard this, they felt that it is very arrogant. Facing General Bing Yang, he actually did not need to release his most powerful nether son. Good, you are indeed as arrogant as the legends say, General Bing Yang said with sneer. Originally, I only planned to capture you and bring you back, but now I can only kill you. Qin Yun's eyes suddenly turned deep blue and then shot out two intense light beams. This is the blood-soul power formed from the convergence of very strong mental power and divine cosmos power. He is carving characters, heavenly rune characters. This is the first time he is using heavenly rune characters to fight. Old Brother Taisher said that using heavenly rune characters to fight, the might is very great and the consumption is also very great. Mobile users, please visit Chapter 3261. General Bing Yang still kept his promise. Before the battle started, he said that Qin Yun could use equipment but he himself wouldn't. Actually, he felt that at their cultivation level, unless it is very powerful equipment, it won't be very useful in battle. Only the great Luo Heavenly Emperor and the Four Kings have equipment that can be useful to people at their level. As for what kind of effect it will have, he himself doesn't know. Although Qin Yun is holding the 9 Sun Divine Hammer, he still hasn't used it. Now is not the time to use it. He is still carving heavenly rune characters. Others only think that he is carving ordinary runes in the void to fight. Everyone knows that he is an inscription master. Now that he is using runes to fight, no one finds it strange. Only a few people can see that the runes Qin Yun is carving are not simple. They are very different from the runes they have seen before. General Bing Yang can see that Qin Yun is carving heavenly rune characters. Of course he knows how terrifying heavenly rune characters are. He is even more clear that these heavenly rune characters are very difficult to master, let alone use them in battle. Generally speaking, heavenly rune characters are used to create super strong divine weapons or to set up powerful formation seals. And Qin Yun wants to use them in battle. This caused General Bing Yang to be secretly alarmed. He didn't expect that Qin Yun's inscription level would be so strong. In Great Luo Empire, there are inscription masters who can carve heavenly rune characters, but not many. There are only a few of them in the entire empire. However, those inscription masters have to devote their entire lives to the Tao of inscription. Not only is Qin Yun an inscription master, he is also a divine king. This is something that cannot be understood. General Bing Yang realized that the heavenly rune characters Qin Yun is carving are very powerful. He immediately rushed over and pushed several palms towards Qin Yun. One after another, ice snakes with white flame aura rushed towards Qin Yun like lightning. 10 gigantic ice snakes flew towards Qin Yun like chains, trying to tie him up. Qin Yun used Transcending Void Step and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The 10 huge ice snakes pounced on empty air. General Bing Yang immediately controlled the ice snakes to continue chasing after Qin Yun. The ice snakes were condensed from a very powerful divine cosmos power. In the current battle, he needed to reduce the consumption of divine cosmos power, so he had to continue controlling the ice snakes to fight. After Qin Yun dodged with the void step, he knew that the ice snake was chasing after him. His claws suddenly surged with scorching purplish-gold flames. A pair of heavenly lion claws appeared. He frantically grabbed at the ice snake that was charging toward him, using the heavenly lion's fighting dragon claw to leave countless purplish-golden claw projections in the void. In the blink of an eye, the 10 huge ice snakes were crushed into pieces of ice and even melted. Qin Yun is now using his heavenly eyes to carve heavenly rune characters. Although he can't finish immediately, his speed is still very fast. A very complicated heavenly pattern character gradually formed. General Bingyang became more and more alarmed. The speed at which Qin Yun carved the heavenly rune characters had reached such a level. In Daluo Empire, even the top inscription masters would need at least a few days to complete a single heavenly rune character. Qin Yun's speed made General Bingyang feel that he is not carving a heavenly rune character. However, according to his experience, Qin Yun's eyes are spewing out a very strong blood-soul power, condensing into countless threads of runes that are quickly interweaving into a complicated heavenly rune character. General Bingyang became more and more anxious. He immediately shattered all the ice on the battlefield and then quickly condensed them into countless ice swords. From all directions they densely packed together and rushed toward Qin Yun. A lot of thick ice had condensed on the battlefield before. These ice were formed when the Ice Sun appeared and contained divine cosmos power inside. However, these divine cosmos power are very weak. General Bingyang used these ice swords to attack Qin Yun only to disturb him. As the countless ice swords stabbed at Qin Yun, two large and long ice spears suddenly appeared in General Bingyang's hands. Of course, these are not weapons he used because these two ice spears were condensed from his twin ice suns. Qin Yun had already seen Divine Sun transform into Divine Weapon when he was at the Moon Heart. General Bingyang blended into the countless ice swords as if he was invisible, but Qin Yun could still sense him. Everyone was dazzled by what they saw from afar because the battlefield is filled with countless ice swords releasing white light. They are densely packed, like a white fog enveloping the battlefield. They are unable to see General Bingyang and Qin Yun at all. Although Qin Yun is carving a heavenly rune character, his reaction is very fast. The 9 Sun Divine Hammer in his hand suddenly became bigger. He injected 200,000 Divine Cosmos power and directly poured it into the 9 Sun Divine Hammer. The 9 Sun Divine Hammer absorbed the 9 Sun Divine Spirit's Divine Sun power and doubled the 800,000 Divine Cosmos power Qin Yun released, which is 1.6 million Divine Cosmos power. It swept forward. The Divine Hammer swept horizontally, surging Divine Cosmos power rippled out and the ice swords coming from all directions were all scattered. A thrusting ice spear was directly swept away, and cracks appeared on it. General Bingyang's twin ice suns were indeed very strong, if not they would have been defeated just now. He still had an ice spear in his hand that was specially used to stab Qin Yun. He never expected Qin Yun's divine cosmos power to be so terrifying. It far exceeded his expectations. He was unable to estimate how much divine cosmos power Qin Yun had erupted with. In short, he was very sure that if his body was hit by that attack, he would definitely be severely injured. In order to block the ice spear that stabbed at him, Qin Yun had no choice but to counterattack. This caused him to expend a lot of divine cosmos power. Fortunately, the Divine King Heavenly Seal could quickly replenish it. After he struck with his hammer, General Bingyang immediately appeared in front of him and the ice spear stabbed at him like lightning. This stab was aimed at the divine cosmos in his body. Qin Yun immediately raised his foot and injected divine cosmos power into his heaven-trampling divine boot. Then, he erupted with nearly 1 million divine cosmos power, accompanied by an extremely strong vibration force, and kicked at the ice spear. General Bingyang's hands that were tightly gripping the ice spear felt a jolt and intense pain. He had no choice but to let go and the ice spear was also sent flying. The pair of ice spears immediately flew back into his body because just now they had suffered different degrees of attack. This is the twin ice suns. If they were defeated, he would be done for. After the twin ice suns entered General Bingyang's body, it immediately caused him to erupt with a very strong divine cosmos power. At this moment, General Bingyang is very close to Qin Yun. He also realized that this is extremely dangerous. At this moment, a black whirlpool appeared under Qin Yun's feet. After a few moments, the whirlpool expanded to a very large extent. General Bing Yang did not even have time to react when he discovered that the whirlpool was already under his feet. This is the Nether Sun domain released by Qin Yun. Don't even think about running. As soon as Qin Yun's voice fell, the blue heavenly rune word that was engraved suddenly flashed with blue light. Like a huge mountain, it fell from the sky and pressed down on General Bing Yang's body. General Bing Yang's movement speed inside Qin Yun's Nether Sun domain is very slow. When he decided to release the twin ice suns to fight to the death, his body was already enveloped by the heavenly rune word and all the power in his body was sealed. Chapter 3262. General Bing Yang's body is currently being pressed down by a three-dimensional heavenly rune character. From a distance, it looks like he is being pressed down by a small mountain. If you look carefully, you can see that the heavenly rune character is made up of many interweaving runes. This heavenly rune character has an ancient and mysterious feeling. After it appeared, energy from all around frantically rushed towards the heavenly rune character. The most terrifying thing is that the energy of the 8 myriad worlds' divine suns in the sky can be absorbed by this heavenly rune character. At the beginning, Qin Yun only used enough blood soul power to carve the heavenly rune character. After that, the heavenly rune character can absorb energy by itself. In addition, the heavenly rune character has very strong defensive power. Unless there is a special method, it is very difficult to destroy the entire structure of the heavenly rune character. It is very difficult for the heavenly rune character to dissipate. Using powerful energy to attack it will only be devoured by the heavenly rune. Of course, only the heavenly rune character carved by Qin Yun has this kind of miraculous effect. Because the heavenly rune he carved is fused with the nether moon totem, it has this kind of dreadful devouring power. The heavenly rune character Qin Yun just carved is a very ancient seal character. It was created by old brother Taisher by fusing all kinds of seal-type runes. This heavenly rune character is also very easy to carve. Therefore, Qin Yun chose to carve this heavenly rune first. As for the other 2 heavenly rune characters, with his current strength, it will take him a long time to carve them. After General Bing Yang was sealed, his heart is filled with fear and shock. He is now very sure that he has been sealed by a heavenly rune character. He is a person who possesses 2 ice suns. He was actually sealed just like that. And this heavenly rune character was carved by Qin Yun in a very short period of time. What does this mean? It means that Qin Yun can use heavenly rune character to fight. This should be the most powerful inscription battle technique. When General Bing Yang's cultivation had not regressed, his strength was far stronger than now. However, at that time, he had never seen an inscription master who could reach this step, able to use heavenly rune character to fight. Therefore, he has no experience in dealing with this kind of battle. Now that he is sealed, he is completely dumbfounded. Seeing General Bing Yang being sealed, the scene gradually quieted down. Only a few people present know that this is a heavenly rune character. They are just like General Bing Yang, they are filled with fear. This battle was transmitted through the magic mirror, so all the big shots of the 4 empires and Taisher powers can see it. Through the devil mirror, they can clearly see that it is a heavenly rune character. It was carved by Qin Yun in a very short period of time. Moreover, this heavenly rune character is something their inscription masters have never seen before. There are very few heavenly rune characters. All the top inscription masters in the 4 empires can recognize the few heavenly rune characters. Qin Yun's heavenly rune characters were created by old brother Taisher, so it is normal that they don't recognize them. General Qin cannot lose. Even though he rune is sealed, he is sealed. He is sealed by he is sealed. God! His body suddenly flashed with strong white light. Yang sword. These 2 ice suns were fused together. The smaller ice sun was inside, while the larger one was outside. The divine sun that was fused in this way could unleash even greater power. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to release it. General has he rune. He has can. Released sun, the sun can heavenly rune character. When General Bing Yang saw that he can release ice suns and the two ice suns can shake the heavenly rune character, he immediately saw a glimmer of hope. He desperately controlled the ice suns to become bigger. He wants to tear the heavenly rune character from the inside. Only by doing this can he break the seal. This guy is a powerful general of the empire. He is naturally not that easy to kill. Old Brother Taisher said to Qin Yun. His twin ice suns are very strong. Qin Yun floated in the air, looking down at General Bing Yang. He doesn't need to control the heavenly rune character. However, many people think that he is still controlling the heavenly rune character to suppress General Bing Yang. Qin Yun, you are indeed powerful. I underestimated you. General Bing Yang shouted. At this moment, he is no longer as calm and composed as before. His ice-white face has lost its calmness. Give up resistance, admit defeat and accept the trial of the Myriad Realms Divine Court. I can spare your life and throw you into the Myriad Realms Divine Court's heavenly prison. Qin Yun's voice came. Throw General Bing Yang into the Myriad Realms Divine Court's heavenly prison? Why? General Bing Yang said angrily. Didn't you come here to capture me? Didn't you say that if you can't capture me, you can only kill me? You provoked me and now you are defeated. This kind of ending is the best for you. Qin Yun said coldly. He needed the beginning of order, which is to subdue the person who provoked him as the divine king and then throw him into the heavenly prison. Ridiculous, you think that by defeating me, your order can suppress the entire nine-sun holy ground? General Bing Yang said with sneer. Qin Yun, I will not lower my head to you. Your strength is far inferior to the great Luo heavenly emperor. I will only submit to the strongest. He suddenly shouted. His twin ice suns suddenly expanded, unexpectedly bursting out of the heavenly rune character. The people at the scene are now incomparably shocked. General Bing Yang is actually about to be defeated. They quickly flew far away. If the twin ice suns suddenly exploded, the shock waves would definitely spread far away. Qin Yun's battle in the nine-sun holy ground has indeed produced very good results. If you surrender now and are willing to enter the heavenly prison, I guarantee that you will be able to see the great Luo heavenly emperor killed by me in the future. Qin Yun said. Arrogant! General Bing Yang shouted angrily. The nine-sun divine hammer in Qin Yun's hand suddenly became very large. Then, he raised his hand and actually removed the heavenly rune character. He actually removed the powerful heavenly rune character just like that? What does this mean? Even General Bing Yang is incomparably surprised. The spectators also find it inconceivable. Qin Yun is clearly throwing the match. General Bing Yang's twin ice suns suddenly became very large. However, Qin Yun's nine-sun divine hammer has already fallen. Heavenly Annihilation 9 styles, Heavenly Quake, Thunder Collapse, Setting Sun and Heavenly Frenzy, 4 styles were used in succession. Before even using the 5th style, the twin ice suns exploded, releasing an incomparably berserk energy wave that directly broke through the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation. At this moment, heaven and earth seemed to be shaking, as if a great calamity has descended from the heavens to destroy the world. Qin Yun's nine-sun divine hammer has just been injected with the bloodline heavenly pattern box. Directly through this powerful bloodline heavenly pattern box, it drew out the power of the few divine suns inside the nine-sun divine spirit. Its power is incomparably formidable. Originally, Qin Yun planned to let General Bing Yang enter the heavenly prison and announce that his order has begun to descend upon the nine-sun holy land. However, General Bing Yang did not cooperate at all. Therefore, he will use his strongest power to completely annihilate this person who openly provoked him. Qin Yun had just entered the Nine-Sun Holy Land and General Bingyang was the first to jump out. He wanted to attack the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land and fight against him, a divine king. Therefore, Qin Yun must have sufficient deterrence in this battle. The twin ice suns were completely shattered. Such powerful ice suns were actually shattered by Qin Yun with just a few hammer strikes. The spectators from afar are all dumbfounded. Is this still someone at the 8th level of the divine space realm? General Bingyang is lying on the ground. His body is already covered in injuries. At this moment, a voice sounded. Qin Yun, spare Bingyang's life and my great Luo Empire will let bygones be bygones. The voice belongs to the great Luo Heavenly Emperor. Qin Yun did not speak. Instead, he took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal and directly pressed down. The runes and intense light on the surface of the Heavenly Seal burst out, instantly turning General Bingyang into ashes. If you want to chat about Nine-Sun Divine King with more like-minded people, follow You Read Literature on WeChat. Chat about life, find bosom friends. Chapter 3263. The Celestial Emperor had been paying close attention to the battle. He had thought that General Bingyang would win easily and capture Qin Yun to show the Empire's might. What he hadn't expected was that Qin Yun could inscribe heavenly patterns to fight and seal General Bingyang. However, Qin Yun had inscribed heavenly patterns to see if he could capture General Bingyang and force him into the Divine Court's prison. That way, his order would be in a better position. General Bingyang still didn't think much of Qin Yun in the end, so Qin Yun could only use his strongest power to kill him. The Celestial Emperor had used a great deal of power to transmit his voice to this place, which showed how much he valued General Bingyang. There had been room for negotiation, but he had told Qin Yun to let bygones be bygones, which was equivalent to saying that Qin Yun had been in the wrong and that he could let him go this time. Qin Yun was infuriated by this. Luo Shuang had casually attacked the Vermilion Bird Sacred Ground, causing the Vermilion Bird Tribe and the Phoenix Kingdom to suffer great losses. Then he had sent General Bingyang. It had been the Empire's fault from beginning to end, but the Celestial Emperor didn't think they were in the wrong. Instead, he felt that Qin Yun had always been against them. The mountain-like Divine King Heavenly Seal slowly rose into the air and shrank, returning to Qin Yun's hand. The entire battlefield suddenly fell silent. The Celestial Emperor had tried to stop Qin Yun, but it was useless. Qin Yun had still killed General Bingyang in the end. This was a vicious slap to the Empire's face. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the Celestial Emperor's voice. But after a long time, the sky remained quiet. The Celestial Emperor's voice did not come. Qin Yun had long since put away the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation. His expression was indifferent, as if he didn't find anything wrong. The big shots of the 9 suns' sacred ground felt their hearts churn. Although they hadn't had much contact with the Celestial Emperor, they knew he was terrifying. Just as General Bingyang had said, the Celestial Emperor was very powerful, which was why he had sworn loyalty to the Celestial Emperor. The 4 kings and 10 generals were the Celestial Emperor's confidants, much more important than the Crown Prince and Princess. The exalted Celestial Emperor's authority in the 4 empires was due to his 4 kings and 10 generals. If he only relied on his children, the Crown Prince and Luo Shuang, he wouldn't be able to intimidate the other empires and Taisha factions. The death of General Bingyang was a huge blow to the Celestial Emperor. Therefore, the powerhouses of the Sacred Land believed that the Celestial Emperor was going to deal with Qin Yun personally. Even if he didn't show himself, he'd send at least a few generals or a king to wipe out Qin Yun's allies. The Phoenix Queen and Luo Shu both knew that the 4 kings and 10 generals were very strong. They had previously warned Qin Yun to be more careful. However, in the end, Qin Yun killed General Bing Yang. Although the process was complicated, it did not seem difficult. General Ice Sun was not particularly powerful in front of Qin Yun. First, it was unable to seal Qin Yun. Later, it was sealed by Qin Yun's heavenly rune character. Following that, Qin Yun smashed the dual Ice Suns with a few hammer strikes, and finally, it was suppressed to death by the Divine Monarch Heavenly Seal. The Dragon Turtle King already knew that Qin Yun could defeat General Bing Yang. Previously, in Taisher Nirvana City, he could see that Qin Yun was hiding a bottomless power, so he was very calm from the beginning. The Phoenix Queen also understood why Yu Shangyun did not come to watch the battle. She did not even care about it at all. It was because Yu Shangyun knew that Qin Yun would never do something he was not confident of. She knew that he would definitely win, so she was not worried at all. The Dragon Turtle King immediately let the hundreds of patriarchs outside the sacred land enter the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. The Phoenix Queen and the Vermilion Bird Patriarch withdrew their people into the treasure ground. They could feel that the atmosphere at the moment was full of killing intent. Would the exalted Celestial Emperor make a move? If he made a move, would he destroy the Vermilion Bird treasure ground and the White Tiger treasure ground first? Qin Yun was still outside the treasure ground. He opened his heavenly eye and looked into the distant deep sky. He could catch a few moving shadows. The Dragon Turtle King was outside with dozens of young people. They had their eyes on Crown Prince Hualing. From here, he could see the deep sky very far from the ground. There was a super-huge ship moving there. Luo Shuang was ready to make a move. Luo Shuang was a little surprised that General Bing Yang was killed. But she was even more surprised that her father, the Celestial Emperor, actually spoke. Moreover, his voice came from the distant exalted Celestial City. But in the end, he did not stop Qin Yun. From Luo Shuang's point of view, now was the best time to attack the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. As long as she could take down Qin Yun, she could avenge General Bing Yang. The other 4 kings and 9 generals' impression of her would greatly change. Wang Tiange had given her a lot of support. That was why she was so confident. In the eyes of the elders on Wang Tiange's side, as long as Luo Shuang did a good job this time, her status and reputation would immediately be higher than the Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City. Perhaps even the Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City would be crippled. The Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City had left long ago. He was still on his way back to Exalted Celestial City. On the way, he was constantly watching the battle through the magic mirror. Of course, he had also heard the Celestial Emperor's voice and was extremely shocked. But the most shocking thing was that Qin Yun had actually killed General Bing Yang. He knew that this was a big problem. He also knew that Qin Yun was not someone that he, the Crown Prince, could afford to provoke. He realized that he would be in big trouble. Sister Luo Shuang, are you preparing to attack the Vermilion Bird treasure ground? Quickly stop. Qin Yun has yet to return to the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. He is still outside. He is waiting for you to appear so that he can beat you up. The Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City immediately advised, quickly stop, or you will suffer heavy losses. Crown Prince, even if I suffer heavy losses I will still fight. This is for the reputation of the Empire, for General Bing Yang. I am not as smart as you, so I cannot win the approval of so many seniors. But I am not afraid of death. For the Empire, I am willing to sacrifice everything. Luo Shuang said, no matter the outcome, I will fight this battle. I will fight with all my might to avenge General Bing Yang. She said this deliberately. She had rarely used the magic mirror to communicate with the Crown Prince because they knew that they would be monitored. The Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City could naturally tell that Luo Shuang was deliberately putting on a good show for the seniors of the Empire. He gnashed his teeth in hatred, but there was nothing he could do. Against Qin Yun, he was terrified. The Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City put away the magic mirror. Beside him were 2 Supreme Palace Elders. "Crown Prince, it is not appropriate for you to leave," one of the elders said. "I suggest that you face Qin Yun head-on no matter what." The Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City released an avatar and said, "I will use my avatar to lead 2 super warships to attack the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground." "I can only use 2 super warships, right?" "Yes. As soon as possible." The elder nodded. The Crown Prince of Exalted Celestial City was very passive. He did not want to fight, but if he did not fight, he would definitely lose to Luo Shuang. For mobile users, please visit Chapter 3264. The Supreme Palace Elder felt helpless when he saw the clone. He shook his head and sighed inwardly. This elder was often with the Crown Prince, and he knew him very well. He was the most outstanding member of the younger generation of the Daluo Empire he had ever seen. However, he was too cowardly. For example, the Crown Prince still did not dare to use his true body to fight. This meant that he was afraid of death. "Elder One, this clone is comparable to my true body. If one is not very familiar with me, they will not be able to see through it. Luo Shuang will definitely not be able to tell that I used a clone," the Crown Prince said. He could tell what the elder was thinking. "It's up to you whether or not you can turn the tables this time." Elder One said, "No matter what, this battle must be fought. Our Supreme Palace is also prepared to face heavy losses." This battle looked like it was against Qin Yun, but it was actually a battle against Luo Shuang. Now that a general of the Daluo Empire had been killed, the princess and the Crown Prince were present. If they did not do anything, how would the entire Daluo Empire view them? This battle was for the Daluo Celestial Emperor and the Daluo Empire to see. It had nothing to do with winning or losing. It was just to show their attitude. The Crown Prince had left suddenly because he did not expect Qin Yun to kill General Bingyang. He felt that no matter how strong Qin Yun was, even if he could defeat General Bingyang, he would not be able to kill such a powerful general. Therefore, he had left in advance. Now that this unforeseen event had caught him off guard, Luo Shuang had taken the initiative. He had become so timid mainly because the help that the Supreme Palace provided him was gradually decreasing. It was far less than what Wang Tiange could provide to Luo Shuang. Luo Shuang was the 9 Heavens goddess. Even if Wang Tiange did not help her fight for the throne, he would still give her a lot of support. The Crown Prince's true body immediately left and hid. He was afraid of Qin Yun because he had said all sorts of nasty things to Xiao Yuelan and insulted the 9 Sun Goddess. Therefore, he did not dare let his true body get too close to Qin Yun. Otherwise, if he was caught, he would definitely be killed. Elder One was also well aware of this matter, but he did not say anything. This was because the crown princes of the other empires had also said that they would take in Xiao Yuelan and the other 9 sun goddesses as female slaves. They were definitely targeted by Qin Yun. Elder One led the crown prince's clone towards the 2 super warships. Although there were only 2 super warships, they belonged to the Supreme Hall. Moreover, they were led by the crown prince of Daluo. This showed his attitude. At the very least, he would not let Luo Shuang take the opportunity to step on him. Behind Qin Yun, Dragon Gui King whispered, "Divine King, Crown Prince Huoling is very arrogant. We need to teach him a lesson and let him know how powerful we are. Today is a good time to teach him a lesson. 2 crown princes were beaten up by us in the Holy Land on the same day. This will make our reputation even greater. On the premise that we can protect the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground, we can pursue Prince Huoling," Qin Yun said. "This guy seems to have come in person. It would be best if we can capture him." The Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground is a super treasure ground within the Holy Land. It has a very strong defense. Inside the Holy Land, our Dragon Turtle treasure ground will have even more energy to support us. God King need not worry. The Dragon Turtle King said, God King, their super huge ships are very powerful. Although our Dragon Turtle has transformed in Nirvana City, we are still unable to do anything to their huge ship. Crown Prince Huoling did not have any super huge ship. They only had large flying battleship. Dragon Gui King and the others could easily deal with such battleship. Qin Yun was looking at the distant deep space when he suddenly saw two black dots converging with Luo Shuang's 5 super huge ship. They have 7 super huge ships. This is a big move, Qin Yun said with a frown. At that moment, Luo Shu and Luo Yea flew over. We just received information that the Crown Prince of De Luo borrowed 2 super huge ships from Supreme Hall. Luo Shuang's super huge ships are from Wang Tiangu. The De Luo Empire's super huge ships have not been dispatched, Luo Shu said. Interesting, the Crown Prince of De Luo only has 2 ships? Moreover, he only arrived later. It looks like he did not plan to attack the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. Qin Yun did not have enough Divine Sun nuclear bombs. The super huge ships had very strong defense. It was easier to destroy them after entering. Now that there were 7, it would not be easy for Qin Yun to destroy all of them alone. However, he was still confident because this time, he was not fighting alone. They are doing this for the Celestial Emperor of De Luo to gain the recognition of the Celestial Emperor and the 4 kings and 9 generals, Luo Shu said. According to the information I have, the Crown Prince of De Luo said that he had something to do and left. Now that he has suddenly appeared, it means that he is very passive. Qin Yun roughly understood what was going on. The Crown Prince's sudden departure meant that he had come in person. It was also because he saw that Qin Yun could defeat General Bingyang that he suddenly slipped away. And when he killed General Bingyang, the Crown Prince must have been frightened. Since the Crown Prince still dared to return, it might be a clone. If he still uses a clone at this time, what will the Celestial Emperor and the 4 kings and 9 generals think? Qin Yun smiled. If we can prove that he is fighting with a clone, the Crown Prince's status will definitely plummet, Luo Yea said. Luo Yea said, Divine King, this time, Luo Shuang has made up her mind to attack the Vermilion Bird treasure ground. Please be careful. Got it. Qin Yun nodded. Luo Shu and Luo Yea could not help much now. They could only return to the Vermilion Bird treasure ground and wait. When Dragon Turtle King heard that there were 7 super warships, he was somewhat worried. But when he suddenly sensed the Divine Judge's aura, he immediately felt relieved. The Divine Court of Myriad Realms has arrived. This is the true combat power of the Divine Monarch. In this battle, Qin Yun not only wanted to display his Divine Monarch power, he also wanted to display the power of the Divine Court of Myriad Realms. He wanted to let all the major factions in the Divine Wilderness know that the Divine Court of Myriad Realms is no longer just for show. The Divine Judge has arrived. He did not bring many God-position gods, only 7. Sword God Xie Wufeng, Heavenly Dragon God Long Yuqing, and Star God are very familiar with Qin Yun. The other 4 God-position gods are Thunder God, Fire God, Hercules God and War God. They are all very powerful God-position gods. The gods of the Divine Court of Myriad Realms are powerful because they can borrow the divine power of the 4 divine sons. If 7 powerful God-position gods and the Divine Judge can fight against 7 super warships, then no one in the Divine Wilderness would dare to look down on the Divine Court of Myriad Realms. In the White Tiger treasure ground, because of the Divine Court of Myriad Realms joining in, they were able to destroy the enemy's super warship. This was mainly because the Star God could summon a very large star to descend and press down on those super huge ships, smashing them to the ground. Qin Yun secretly communicated with Star God. He knows that the stars she summoned did not appear for no reason. They were refined by her from the 4 divine sons. When needed, she could summon them from the 4 divine suns. She needed to arrive above the divine desolate in a short period of time. She doesn't have many star reserves, only 20 or so left. When she summons them, they might be intercepted. Qin Yun discussed with her a bit and decided to let her star cooperate with his divine sun nuclear bomb. This way they can burst out even more formidable power. Chapter 3265. Star God could only smash the super warship down. It would be very difficult to smash it like before. The stars she had in reserve were not strong enough, and the opponent's super warship would definitely have some defense. Xiao Yun, those guys' super warships have some defense against my stars. Even if you use your divine sun nuclear bomb, you might not be able to destroy them. Star God transmitted to Qin Yun. Previously, when they were supporting the strange cat kingdom in the White Tiger Treasure Land, the stars summoned by Star God were all refined by her with a lot of effort. Furthermore, the opponent did not have any defense, so they could smash the super warship into pieces. As long as the warship doesn't attack in the air and lands on the ground, and its defense is affected to a certain extent, we can break through their defense. Qin Yun said, Sister Star God, just control the stars well and smash them a bit more accurately. Smash the super warship to the ground and leave the rest to us. Star God has already started summoning the stars. It would still take some time to fly over from the 4 divine suns. If there were no accidents, they would not be intercepted. When she was in the White Tiger Treasure Land, the great factions in the 9 Sun Sacred Land must have known about her summoning the stars. They should have already sent people to pay attention to the 4 divine suns and knew that she had summoned the stars. Those stars were all very large, so it would be quite difficult to intercept and destroy them. Not to mention that the stars were flying at an extremely fast speed. When they charged, they would also produce very strong energy shockwaves, which could form a certain level of defense. Of course, if those great factions used enough power, they could shoot down the stars. Therefore, Star God had to prepare for the worst and presume that only half of the stars would come. Qin Yun was currently formulating a battle plan with the Divine Judge and the others. The most ideal outcome he had imagined in advance was for the super warship to be shot down. Then, everyone would use the power of the 4 divine suns to kill the people who escaped from the super warship and kill the captains. If possible, they would capture Luo Shuang and the Crown Prince of Great Luo. 7 super warships descended majestically from the sky, and the people on the ground were all stunned. The people below could already see the 7 huge phantoms appearing in the sky. They were all very scattered. As soon as the super warships appeared, they shot out 7 powerful energy shockwaves from 7 directions to attack the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land's barrier. The Vermilion Bird clan was already prepared. They raised the barrier's defense to the maximum and used the energy under the treasure land to open many layers of the barrier. The 7 super warships' attack did not break the barrier's defense. After all, it was a super treasure land in the sacred land with its strongest defense. It was not that easy to take. Next, the dragon turtles in the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land formed groups of dozens. They floated in the air and transformed into huge and mighty dragon tortoise formations. Formed dragon tortoise formations to guard 7 positions. Everyone in the Vermilion Bird treasured ground felt safer when they saw the mountain-like dragon turtles hovering above them. The Vermilion Bird tribe also controlled the release of energy within the treasure ground for the dragon turtles to absorb. When necessary, the Vermilion Birds of the Vermilion Bird tribe would also fly into the sky and block the attacks of the super battleships with the dragon turtle. The Zenith Luo Crown Prince felt a headache when he saw these dragon turtles. Previously, when they attacked the human snake treasure ground, these dragon turtles had also withstood the strongest waves of attack. All sorts of lesser divine suns had been blasted away by the dragon turtles. Their super warships are moving quickly. They seem to know that my star is approaching and are preparing to avoid it. Star God immediately said, "My divine sun nuclear bomb won't attack with your star. I'll use it to attack the super warships first. It can slow them down and make it easier for you to aim." Qin Yun could only change his previous plan. He had planned to merge the divine sun nuclear bomb with the star and hide it inside the star. When the star exploded, the divine sun nuclear bomb would explode, creating a double explosion. The super warships were moving quickly. They also released many layers of protective barriers. The barriers were rather strange. They seemed to have a very strong power to distort space. They could easily deflect the star, allowing it to circle around the super warship. The super warships were all moving quickly, and they were also releasing many layers of protective barriers. These protective barriers were rather strange, and they seemed to have a very strong power to distort space. They could easily bounce the stars away from them, allowing the stars to circle around the super warship. They really quickly thought of a way to deal with it. They even used it on the super warships. They are really fast. Star God said with a frown, "Xiao Yun, as long as you slow down these super warships, I can hit them with the star." "No problem." Qin Yun took out the God King cannon and aimed it at one of the super warship. He said, "I'll use this one to test it out. Are you ready?" "I'm ready. My remaining 20 stars have all arrived without a hitch and were not intercepted. I plan to use 2 or 3 stars to smash a super huge ship." The star god nodded lightly and said, "The prerequisite is that these super huge ships have to slow down." When she controlled the star to fall, it was not as accurate as Qin Yun's divine sun nuclear bomb. Therefore, if she couldn't aim accurately, it would directly fall to the ground and be wasted. "All right, I'll begin." Qin Yun shot out 2 divine sun nuclear bombs at once. After the divine sun nuclear bombs were shot out, Qin Yun didn't need to worry about it anymore. Because the God King cannon had obtained the ability bestowed by the Divine King Heavenly Seal, it could automatically aim and track the target. Once it was targeted, it couldn't be shaken off. The Divine Sun nuclear bomb shot out by the God King spear flew very fast. Because it had been refined by the pill transformation heavenly furnace, its size was also very small. When it approached the super warships, it was not easy to be discovered. And when the super warships sensed it, it was already too late. Boom! 2 Divine Sun nuclear bombs hit a super warship that was moving at high speed from the bottom and exploded at the same time, flashing a dazzling light and shockwave in the air. When everyone saw the super warship being attacked, they knew that the real show had begun. Qin Yun and company finally started attacking. After the super warship's defense was strengthened, the protective barrier was indeed stronger than before. The Divine Sun nuclear bomb only broke through the outer few layers of the protective barrier and didn't cause any damage to the super warship. However, the super warship was bombarded like a headless fly. In order to not crash into the ground, it had no choice but to immediately stop to maintain its balance and make all sorts of adjustments. However, at this time, 3 incomparably huge blue flame stars fell from the sky one after another. The super warship was several tens of thousands of meters long. It looked like a small island. And the falling stars were several times bigger than the super warship. It was as if a huge island had fallen from the sky. And it was 3 in a row. The first star enveloped the super warship, and it quickly fell to the ground. Then the next 2 stars attacked the ground and continued to attack the super warship a second and third time. This scene was extremely shocking. The outside of the Vermilion Bird treasure ground was already covered in blue flames and all sorts of huge rocks. It was equivalent to 3 huge islands falling from the sky in a row. Furthermore, they were all covered in flames. After the super warship landed, it was immediately engulfed and disappeared without a trace. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye to take a look and was secretly alarmed. The super warship was actually cracked and tattered. However, it had to be said that the entire super warship was still very sturdy. It did not shatter into pieces. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.